Welcome everyone to the Heart of the Huntress Aegis season. How are you doing, Zero?
I'm doing very well, and I'm very excited to be here because it was actually quite a long time since I've casted my last Aegis matches, and I'm really excited to start with this new season with the Heart of the Huntress. And how are you doing instead?
I'm doing pretty well. I also haven't casted in, I don't know, at least a year, I think. So it's going to be good to be back, make fun of so many people on deck. So I'm ready.
Yeah, and especially since this new season has been a banger so far. Like, we've seen so many new decks, new concepts, like some cards have already broken the meta and brought in a lot of new archetype, or like old archetype that are gonna be that are revamped. So I think this is gonna be a very interesting season, especially lineup wise, and we already see some spicy stuff in this first week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a bit of a shame none of the champions really got their time in the spotlight yet. You know, Nico, Power King especially, in Italy a bit, but you know, Siren Song for one is going to be the huge standout, revamping. There's Evelyn, there was a Aatrox deck which now doesn't need Aatrox anymore and just goes all in on the Bilgewater. So it's really interesting to see how some of these like previous archetypes from the last standard cycle are like becoming the new Meta Kings. Now a bunch of stuff has been nerfed out.
Yeah, especially you said the Evelyn deck. I really liked that one, especially on day one. Then I started to shift on being annoyed by it because it's very, very powerful, and sometimes it feels a little bit uninteractive unless you can stop the first Siren Song to go off. But I really like what they did because before this patch, basically before this expansion, Solani, the big Solani, was a little bit of a meme card. But then now it's broken and everyone uses it.
Well, okay, I mean, Zolani Aspect Spain, it's such a cool card. I mean, the full art is amazing. But the funny thing is, I think people are starting to cut it. People are like, oh, 7 mana, that's too slow. Not in my day. So yeah, we're now looking at the stats. I believe we have more Siren Song decks than players right now, which is crazy. Look at that card, 448 copies of Siren Song. My God.
Oh man, those are a lot of copies, and I'm telling you, I know one of the biggest, lover of that card, and he's Ace Bombastico, and I was with him on day one trying new cards, and he had prepared like 20 decks, all with Siren Song in all different variants. So I firmly believe that Siren Song can be played with literally anything. You don't need champions. You can just go even championless Siren Song if you really want to.
For sure. I mean, people are running 6x Siren Song, and there's 3 Fizz, 3 Evelyn. You have as many Siren Songs as champions in those. I don't think we have any 9x Siren Songs, though. I might be wrong, but I think people have figured out, once you've gotten past the first 2 Siren Songs, the Aatrox deck, that doesn't quite make the cut. But, Fizz with all the Fearsomes, with Reaver's Row, you have Evelyn with her whole Evelyn package with Husks and Hate Spike and all that goodness.
Yeah, and especially about Asks. What do you think about Asks? Because before they had some play, of course, when we think about Evelyn Viego, but then Evelyn as an archetype, I've never seen this much play, we could say. What do you think about Asks in the current meta?
I mean, I think that I cry a little bit every time they roll Elusive or Spell Shield, but other than that, it's interesting, but also very frustrating because of how much the variant's tough if you're playing let's say a broad main deck with all the pings, and they get tough, which is 1 in 10, and now you can't do anything about it. So it's definitely something other players have also discussed their frustration with how random it is, but I think it's just a bit too strong. I don't think it's necessarily a problem. It's just a little too overtuned.
Yeah, and as the second archetype that we see being played, it's actually Set Karma. What do you think about Set Karma in this new expansion?
I haven't touched it too much, but I'm a sucker for all those late game combo decks. Yeah, I know Ionia, my beloved. I'm not sure. How do you feel about that?
I really like the deck because, of course, I'm more of a combo control-oriented player, so you might hate me for that. I really like the deck. I think it's not as powerful potentially as it once was, but it's still really cool. I've enjoyed a lot watching some friends try to queue in ladder with it, and sometimes lose horribly hard, and sometimes just run your opponent down, because if you don't match up against strong counters, decks that can burn you really fast or can very aggro you into the early game phase, you just win because you have too many tools to stay alive. You have too much mana when you get your coins running. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. And out of the top 3, I mean, 2 of those are the Siren Song decks. We have Karma Set, and then the last 2 are 2 other control decks. We have the Swain Alawi and the new Jin Broadmain deck. What do you think of those?
I think Jade Broadmain deck took a little bit of the spot that was, of course, with Bundle City. We know one of the best Bundle City decks that we have seen in last expansions was the Nora Veigar. If we think about Bundle City and more slow kind of plays, and this Broadmain deck fit into that play, not into that playstyle, but into the control. How can I say, control fantasy, especially with Jin allowing you to run so many fast spells and so many ways to deal with your opponent's cards. I'm really excited to see what the Swain Ilawi deck can do, because I've not seen that much. But let's move on and see what decks Salty Simon is playing. Salty Simon is going to be one of the players that we are going to be focusing on from Break Balls, one of the probably best rated teams in the tournament. You said yourself in tier list that this team is very good. And what do you think of this deck?
Yeah, I mean, Jace Heimer is kind of one of the very few decks from the previous standard meta that didn't get touched up in some way. So like it's still very strong in form. You know, Albus Pharos is always a house at the end game, especially when there's not that many decks outside of the like, you know, set karmas that are really running ways to kill your Albus Pharos. You know, maybe there's some sunbursts, but those aren't quite as reliable. You know, you need to be ready for when they drop it. So it's very powerful, and I look forward to seeing what it can do, especially against all these Siren Song decks.
Yeah, this deck was basically referred, you know, as turret mid-range because you want to put those turret down, but it's only running right now 2 production surges to have many more, to have a lot of spells, to have, as you mentioned, many Albus Pharos, to have this end game threat potential for your opponent, since there are not many decks that can deal with it. And I'm really surprised that we are not seeing Expliterator, if I'm not mistaken. We are not seeing Expliterator being run. I think that card is very good, though. What do you think?
I imagine Simon just must have decided that there's no need to. The healing off of Piercing Darkness was better, and of course, you know, against stuff like Zelani Bloodweaver, you know, Piercing Darkness and Hexblayer, neither of those will do anything, so you need those 3 Vengeance at the top. Anyway, moving on to Karma Set, which we were talking about as the second most played deck. Anything in here excite you?
That excites me because this is a very quote-unquote standard list, you know. We see the tag out to recall your opponent. We are seeing the draw, of course, with place your bets. That lets you, of course, run down through your deck way faster. And then we see many units that you need to control, not so much control the board, but to slow down your opponent game plan. First of all, of course, we have the Pitch Professional and the Mixologist. So I think it's a very standard list. Do you have anything to say?
Well, I'm seeing one new card, All-Seeing Oracle. The pick 3, get a 1-mana deny for it. I'd love to see how that happened. Like, the thing is, you can't play it on 3 to beat Siren Song. So I'm wondering what he's trying to target with that.
Exactly, that's gonna be really interesting. Of course, you can't, as you mentioned, beat Siren Song immediately, but we see the last deck from Salty Simon, not a control list. The other 2 decks were much more, you know, controlling. This one instead is a full-on Siren Song Teemo Jinx deck. This deck wants to go aggro and finish you with the burn from PNZ that we know Jinx is capable of producing.
Yeah, I see that one new card was the Catermobile, +1 attack for every 1-cost ally you summoned. I've heard that card can get pretty scary pretty quickly, especially in like a shell like this. You have the Siren Songs for the Husks. What is that? 15 1-drops? 12 1-drops, I think? Plus your Jury Rigs? That can be a house soon.
Yeah, that's an insane one. I think it's 17 1-drops, I think. We're watching, I think, a 17 1-drops list. So for sure, the Catermobile can become insanely big. We don't have anything, quote unquote, to buff it or to give it, like, you know, overwhelm and so on. But I don't think it needs it. I think it's just a very big threat on its own.
Yeah, I think it's just something you need to block every single turn. So if you just can't keep up on board, and this is a deck that can go wide very quickly. It's just one more thing your opponent needs to worry about and needs blockers for, and eventually you'll just chip over and then finish with a blowback. And now to the other side, Tron, Team Random Object Names. We have Donut on, who would have guessed it, Siren Song.
Siren Song, this time we see the other variant. Of course, we've just seen the Jinx Teemo. Right now we see the Diana Evelyn that we have already talked about a little bit. We see 2 copies of Sunburst, of course, to get rid of bigger threats on your opponent's side. And 1 copy of Shield Vault. Shield Vault actually very interesting because it can allow really smart plays stunning an opponent, no?
Yeah, I also like the 2 Winding Lights. Instead of just all in on Zelani, you have a Winding Light Zelani split. I've seen some people play around with that, and I guess maybe it's to, in case your Zelani isn't pumped as much. You want to have some other ways to end the game, just off of how wide your boards are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can go pretty wide. You have a lot of followers that someone, you know, asks, and so get very big, even in stats. And of course, with Siren Song, you can buff not only the HPs through the asks, but also the attack for a big value. And having that Winding Light capitalize on those buffs with an Overwhelm keyword put on top of everything else, that's a very good endgame card to play. And here we see the Kale. Kale wasn't really a card that I expected to see in this expansion, but if you think about it, it makes perfect sense with how Siren Song plays out and how wide you can go. And this is another deck with the same exactly top end. Winding Light plus Sholani. Even though we only see one of Sholani here, the Winding Light is still there, and the Kale could even flip, even though you only have 2 copies of her.
Yeah, I feel like the Winding Light is a bit more potent in this deck because you're running the Reaver's Row. You have these like even bigger and beefier boards at earlier turns of the game. And because the Reaver's Row gives a bit of health as well, along with the Siren Song, you're not always having your units die in order to pump your Zilani. So I like the Winding Light in this deck a bit better. Also, we see the Moonlight Affliction for these absolutely nasty open attacks. Just essentially forcing your opponent to say, hey, take 10, please.
And always we see the 1 copy of Targonian Tellstones that I think, especially in open lists, like just to put your opponent on that kind of sweat. Like if they have it, they can just ash my unit for nothing. And the last deck from Donut is a little bit of a badge deck because it's a scout.
The Scouts is like, it's a little interesting, you know? You have the new 5-drop Summon Misfortune from your deck. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that is, and we have 3 copies of Champion Strengths as top end, because of course, why not?
I mean, okay, the one thing I'm happy about in this deck is seeing the floor buffs and the chain vest, because I know so many people like AJ and Prodigy who are allergic to combat spells, and it frustrates me to no end.
I mean, especially the chain vest can give you know, life to a lot of different outcomes that you wouldn't think about. And since you have it in the deck, the opponent has to factor in that you could give tough to your unit. So if they are running, for example, a Karma set deck list, or even like some decks more focused on burn, like the Broadmain one, and you have to account for the tough.
Yeah, I mean, the form up too just allows everything to trade so much better. And in these sort of open deck list thing, knowing that your opponent has the form up in your deck or not at all gives you so much more power. Like if they don't have it, you know you don't have to play around anything.
Yeah, I really don't. And what do you think about this scout? Overall, this scout, what do you think is its place in the meta? How would you rate it?
I'm not sure. It's, from what I've heard, it's like moderately good into some of the Siren Song stuff, but it's kind of there, I think, to beat up on the, like, you know, more aggro slanted stuff. Like, I believe this is good into Anijin. And those sorts of like decks are trying to get underneath all the like Evelyn decks. I think it's trying to beat those decks. I guess Zero's disappeared into the abyss. I'm sorry, Zero just hated Scouts so much he couldn't bear to see any more of it. Well, while we... Oh, there we go.
No, I just hate Scouts so much, as you said, as you rightfully said, so I had to, you know, dip and escape a bit, take a little bit of a breath to run from the Demacia, because it seems like Misfortune and Queen are running to catch me. But yeah, I think overall, what do you think is the advantaged lineup between these two that you have just seen?
It's kind of tough. Like, you know, Donut has the 2 Targon Siren Songs decks, which are just far and away probably the strongest decks in our current meta. Did we miss... Oh, no, I just have the wrong deck here. And you know, it's gonna be close, I think. I think Karma's... I'm sorry, I don't know. Do you have a better idea?
Okay, my personal experience is that Siren Song can rush through Karma set pretty easily if they get all the cards, you know, in the right order, and if they get like a good end, you could be able to defeat Karma set from what I've seen through ladder, but of course ladder is not always the best kind of thing to rely on. Tournament play is very different. You have open deck lists, so you know what you're playing against and you know how to, you know, use your resources. I think though that Donut should be at least a little bit advantaged in terms of lineup, even though on the other side we have Salty Simon, which is a world caliber player, and he has already won Aegis once. So I think I could give Simon the benefit of the doubt, you know, just because he's such a good player. But I think Donut has really a case for winning this best of 3.
Yeah, I think I might have to agree with you. Although, I mean, here we have the predictions, and you have a slightly different take on. You agree with the community, though. You have a slightly different take on who's going to win the whole set. Well, what's your argument for this EU team?
Yeah, I think you is a little bit too good. I mean, we have already won last ages, you know, and so I think we might be in for a two-peat. And so just EU being built different. I'm trusting my guys that we can take the win home today, honestly.
All right. Well, I would be lying if I didn't say I was a bit biased too. I've been helping out these Tron guys a little bit, giving them my masterful insights, caster bias and all that. But also, we've been far enough into these Aegis seasons where you can't knock the first pick advantage from these teams anymore. You know, people know how to play around that properly now.
And we are officially in deck selection. So what would you ban if you were Salty Simon?
It's probably got to be one of the Siren Song decks. These just get out so quickly that, one wrong step or they draw Siren Song and you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I think even if it's odd to say that Scouts might be the easier deck to take, and keep on control and keep controlled, because they have to develop the board, and if you can play Heimerdinger Jade, you can shut it down with some Shock Blasts. You can play, as you mentioned, Piercing Darkness on the unit and kill them before they become a threat. Meanwhile, the Siren Song, that even if you kill the units over and over again, they are gonna be able to pull off with Sholani Aspect's Bane at some point, and at that point you can't really do anything unless you stun it over and over again if you are Karma set, but the other decks don't really have a way to deal with it.
I actually think, the Jinx team doesn't have a way to deal with it. The Heimer Jace has some vengeances, but...
Yeah, but you're gonna have to use it on some other stuff, I think, before that comes out.
Yeah, like an Evelyn or something. Yeah. I feel like it might even be in... Yeah, so there we see one of the Siren Song decks. I kind of understand that, because the Fizz deck with Reaver's Route, you don't have to go quite as all in on something like Zolani. We saw they were only running one Zolani in that deck, whereas the Evelyn deck had two. And that Reaver's Route it's so many stats.
So many stats, 3 units that they just get summoned at the start of the turn. They don't even have to commit mana, they don't even have to commit an action. And from the side of Salty Simon, Donut decided to ban the Karma set. So probably the most powerful control deck that we have in this meta, or at least the most played control deck that we have in this meta. And Jace Heimerdinger is gonna be left open alongside this Jinx Teemo. What do you think about Jinx Teemo faring against the likes of Siren Song?
Unfortunately, it feels like a little bit just, who draws Siren Song first? The game. But aside from that, I feel like, you have Diana as the challenger. All the Husks also have, you can, even though it doesn't natively run any elusives, you can generate the elusive, you can get challenger, all that good stuff, that I feel like it has an advantage being able to keep the board thin. And of course, Scouts, Quinn, Valor, MF, it feels like this is a classically favored matchup for Scouts. And we are gonna start with Scouts against the Teemo Jinx that we were talking about just now. So you think Scouts has got an advantage? Let's see what are gonna be the starting ends for both of the players. What do you think about what you see? No Siren Song outside of Salty Simon, which, it's a little unfortunate. We have the Catermobiles, but not that many one-drops. Jinx seems a little hard to get out. Donut has a bit of a slower start, but we have the blocking Badger Bear to start shutting down all his elusive attacks.
Yeah, and the Duran Sculptor is gonna be played now, granting health stats to everything that's gonna be played after her. That can already be kind of a threat, because if the opponent units get too big, you have to trade into them, and you might, lose 1 or even 2 units in trade for just one of their own. And then keeping the advantage on the board might seem really, really problematic for Salty Simon. Let's see, this is an open attack, trying to get the Duran Sculptor to trade. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 damage, 1 mana being back to Salty Simon, and 5 mushrooms. I
think we just take it here. Just looking at our hand, we have Mirai Warden coming up, Fleet Feather Tracker. We have a very low curve hand. We can just throw all our units out, and that +1 health can definitely be make or break point. Unfortunately, we get another team of hit, but blocking Badger Bear coming down, and that should stop any future team of hits.
Yeah, this means that we can target with a Mystic Shot the Drone Sculptor. The ult is not gonna come out for the Marai summoned unit anymore. Donut just decided to go with a 3 mana unit, you know, big commitment of mana, just 1 unit, but a very big one at that. As I mentioned, this unit is gonna be able to trade into 2 or even 3 of Salty Simons.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like Salty Simon's hand has improved a lot since the mulligan. We've had all these, you know, all these very cheap cards allowing us to empty our hand with the Caramobiles into Jinx next turn. We'll have to see how much, yeah, blocking with the Forest Chief to set up Caramobile with the blocking Badger Bear. Also, this means that Simon can get the extra spell mana to cast Rocket this turn.
Ooh, and we even... Ooh. Wait, we can actually go level up. We can go potentially... No, we can't level up the Jinx this turn, right?
No, we can level it up.
Anyway.
No, you're right. I forgot about the extra draw off of Full Shark.
Yeah, I mean, we can level up the Jinx, but if we level up the Jinx, this means that we have no Rocket.
But this open attack is kind of scary. Look at these. These are probably going to be like, oh, Donut missing, only getting a 1-drop. I mean, it's at least a blocker, but these Caramobiles are going to be coming in for 6 possibly. Just
yeah, I think you just put Jury Rig on. Oh, I think you just put Jury Rig on and just attack, no? Oh, I mean, that shouldn't do anything though. Yeah, this is fine. That doesn't change much. The opponent can't trade with you. At most, you would have been concerned with the form up. But then you can just put the Jury Rig if they commit it.
Exactly. I'm really surprised how powerful this deck has been for Simon without the Siren Songs. Like 5-4 quick attacks for 3 are no joke. And they're only getting bigger. Donut doesn't have a really good way to trade them off. With a, you know, a champion strength here, maybe there'd be a chance, but it's kind of nothing. You know, Quinn comes down, but...
We can use the Valor Strike to kill off at least one. Either the... Yeah, I think we can use it to kill the Jury Rig right now, the Scuttlebot.
Well,
that instead is gonna be immediately replaced by the Forge Chief. The
problem, though, is Donut's at 3. Simon just has to empty his hand and play Rocket. He gets to play Acorn here, Jury Rig into Rocket. So...
Yeah, and we have 7 attacks, Catermobile, and whoever said Catermobile is a bad card, don't play it in your decks. Like right now, Donut has to, basically, next attack turn, Donut is gonna have to sacrifice.
No, Donut doesn't have a next turn.
Block them.
He's dead now.
Oh, true, this is just dead.
It's like
true, I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, this is just the Rocket being played now, and just GG. Jinx levels up, and Jinx from Arcane got the first win on stream for this Art of the Huntress Aegis season.
Alright, I might have to recalibrate my predictions after this game. We'll see. That was powerful. Look at those 7-4 quick attacks for 3. That's wild.
And this is me being a little bit rusty on the caster desk, you know, not having casted in like 3 or 4 months really shows, because I didn't see the little immediately. But yeah, of course, it was super easy. Just empty your hand, play the Jinx Rocket. It only does 3 damage, but it's the 3 damage that you need to kill the enemy Nexus. And then you just go to game 2.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Donut has it into, you know, 2-0 Jaceheimer. I definitely think it's possible. Like, I imagine Jaceheimer's probably okay. The Evelyn deck's probably a bit harder, but we see Donut running back with Scouts.
Yeah, and we see already in the Jaceheimer's hand, potentially, he has already Quietus to immediately stop any reaggression, like any really unit you put down, Quietus can immediately kill it, given that Siren Song is not being played, and so Quietus is gonna be kept. And you have the Heimerdinger, a Vengeance, and a Jace. This is a probably kind of expensive end from the side of the Jace Heimerdinger, but not a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Ideally, you're not casting Vengeance on Misfortune on 3. It's fine, but it's a little slow. Oh, you know, Hexacandler here to shore up the board a little bit. I imagine Donut's just going to play out his hand, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then see if he gets there. Oh, no.
And
once more up a Duran Sculptor, I imagine.
Yeah, Drone Sculptor, though, it's gonna be immediately removed by this Quietus. You immediately want to remove that threat because the same reasons that we said on the last game. You don't want the opponent's board to start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially now that you don't have the aggro to go at your opponent's Nexus before they can set up a board.
Especially for a deck like Heimer Jace, which almost all the damage except for Vengeance is all damage based.
Exactly, we see the Valor being set up with Blinding Assault. Of course, setting up for next turn Scout attack alongside a Misfortune being played down. On the other side, Salty Salmon playing the Extra Candler. If we want to next turn I think, not if we want to, but we are definitely gonna be playing the formula. We're gonna be formulating. Spending 6 mana to get 3 back and activate our Endler.
I mean, there's also this.
We're gonna Vengeance, not even thinking about the Shock Blast. That would have been a pretty powerful play, but I think you're keeping the Shock Blast for some more potent turn, especially since you have already one of your two 6+ cost spell played for Jace level up condition. The other is gonna be Formula, so that you can play a doubled up Shock Blast.
Yeah, this is the difference with open deck lists. You can just see the 2 form up, and it's not worth trying to guess whether your opponent has it or not. Just guarantee the kill with Vengeance.
Exactly. We see the pool with our Jace to kill the Valor immediately. There's not gonna be any kind of answer from the set of Donut to that. The block is just gonna be committed on the Hexacandler, just a trade of a 4-3 with the Massian 3-3. End game, I think Salty Simon is doing a good job to controlling his opponent's board. Right now, even if the Queen would come out, then you have the option to go, for example, for a Shock Blast to kill the Challenger units, but instead it's just gonna be a pass, and we let Donut decide what to do. We are not on a rush. Our Jace is leveling up, our Jace isn't dying since it's gonna be 3 HP after the level up, and we are completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, Donut just isn't putting enough pressure on right now. Salty Simon drawing to the Quires even to save Jace, but like, you don't have to do anything. You're at 17. It's only Quinn and a 2-1. There's no need to rush. Just sit back, save your Shock Blast for, doubling up on the Quinn, doubling up to go face, hitting the Misfortune.
And we can even kill the Valor now with the Aftershock if we want to. There is nothing stopping us from doing that if we really want to save the Jace. Instead, we're just gonna opt for the Jace being killed by the Valor, but we are trading into that. We are 17 HP, we have full mana, we are gonna have Heimerdinger coming down, and the Queen is dead. So we are being chilling from the set of Simon.
Yeah, I feel like Donut's gonna have to draw, Champ Strength or something, but I'm not sure if even that's gonna be enough. Just passing, waiting, 2-1 doesn't put on enough, and we want to put down Heimer in a point where we can still not die if Donut decides to full develop.
Yeah, exactly, but since we have Piercing Darkness right now, we can even afford potentially to take this all 6 damage. We see the Shock Blast being committed to get rid of 2 units, and probably Donut is gonna be able to rebuild the board. Now it's getting a little bit scary because the Misfortune is coming in, and this is a lot of damage.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be a problem quite yet, just unless Donut top decks Champion Strength here. Yeah, I feel like this isn't enough to make Simon worry yet.
Ooh, Donut must be thinking about playing the Sergeant and the Grumble's Luck. He has mana to commit for Demacia. I think this is gonna be its play right now. He's setting up for a big for Demacia. Is it gonna be enough though? That's the question.
So Simon has the 1 kill on Misfortune here. Let's see.
We have a kill on MF, but everything else becomes very big. Let's see, +3/+3.
I think this is exact lethal.
Every unit. Is it exact lethal? 5/5/5/5. I think this is exact lethal. You're absolutely correct.
Wow.
And Donut takes the game home, even though Simon did a perfect job of controlling his opponent's board. just the perfect combination of cards from the side of Donut, and it's 1-1. The series is even, and everything is gonna be decided by the last match.
I suppose I underestimated champion strength at home.
At the long last, it's gonna be Evelyn against Jace Heimerdinger. So Evelyn, of course, very, very powerful deck. We've seen Evelyn Silent Song rise in priority, and on the other side we see these Heimerdinger Jace that just lost, but it was very, very close to being just an easy win for Simon.
These look like pretty strong openers on both sides. We have Domination and Evelyn on the side of Donut. Salty Simon has Handler, and Heimer just probably needs a Vengeance or something to deal with the Evelyn. Imagine Donut's gonna toss something back to... Oh, full pitches for Siren Song and gets it! Siren Song on 3. This is where men are made.
Yeah, this is when the game starts getting very, very scary. Simon saw his opponent not drawing a Siren Song in his first game of the day, but now in the last game of this best of 3, the Siren Song on 4 is committed. Donut is immediately gonna be able to play that, and potentially a Diana on top of it. The Ask is immediately gonna be killed. Simon doesn't want to see it come true, doesn't want to see the buffs come true, but the Pale Cascade is gonna save it, at least for now.
See, do you think Simon's gonna throw this Aftershock? Because when you're saving your Husk like that, it feels like you're bluffing a Evelyn follow-up. We obviously don't see Donut has it, but at the very least, the Steam can come down, and the Scout Quick Attack is gonna put in work.
Exactly, and in fact, Simon believes about the Evelyn. I mean, he's kind of forced to believe about her, the possibility of her coming down on turn 5, and so the Aftershock is immediately committed, and Ask is killed right away.
Yeah, but Donut just gets to take it because it was all bluff. Maybe it's a Domination coming down, hoping there's no, Mystic Shot or Quietus to be found, trying to get your Steam or your Diana going on. Yep.
Domination is gonna be buffing those Asks a lot, giving them those very, very important stats. It's key to victory for Donut, potentially. And we see if Heimerdinger ever comes out on the board, then there is the Sunburst on Donut's side to take care of him.
For sure. And we also have these, hate spikes. Easily deal with all these turrets. Simon doesn't have a great way to activate the, Oh no, I see the production surge, yes.
Yeah, of course, we got the production surge. We're gonna get hopefully a little bit more than 1 or 2 turrets. We get 3 turrets, like 2 3 costs and 1 1 cost, of course. 7 mana was committed. And this is a pretty big board now, actually. Being able to trade with most of his opponent's board. And now the Clerk, of course, coming in, being a 6/4 with lifesteal. Not that, important in this kind of matchup, being able to have lifesteal. Much more useful against more aggro mirrors, like Silent Song mirrors for once.
So the thing is, I feel like this is overall better for Donut, just running your units into each other, because eventually Donut's going to draw their Zelanis, and Simon doesn't have a way to deal with Zelani at the moment.
Yeah, we have a lot of draw, though.
Yes, but if Donut has a fast-ish board right now, Diana into Evelyn, it's going to be a little tough. Donut can hate spike here to stop this, too. If you hate spike, it kills the Husk, which levels Evelyn.
Ooh, yeah, that's absolutely true. And 8 spikes here punishes Simon for this play. Evelyn is gonna survive this. Oh no. Evelyn is gonna survive. She's gonna level up. She's gonna gain those stats. And of course, she's not gonna retain them for next turn, but that doesn't matter.
No, it's just so much value is gonna be generated off this Evelyn. We have this Diana coming down with Nightfall activated because of the Dust Petal Dust. Simon doesn't have a great way to deal with this board at all.
And what looked like a win. Oh no, this Diana is gonna be huge. This Diana is gonna be nearly unkillable at least for the moment. The Scout attack to get all the value in the world. Your Steam is even getting +1 attack. And of course the Steam is gonna perish now because of this Aftershock. But the Diana is gonna be super big.
Let's see. I'm not sure how big the Zilani is now, but it's got to be at least like a 14-14, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how many buffed units died, but I think at least 6 of them died, so at least is 14-14.
Just, this is gotta be brutal. This is what I was saying earlier in the broadcast about, the Husk RNG, all these spell shields. Even if Salty Simon had something, it would have been a pain to get through these. And
when you're forced to play the Execander just to
not die,
too much damage, exactly, just to not die from this very big strike, and so you can't put down the Heimerdinger this turn. If you could have put down Heimerdinger now, it would have been so much better. But even then, we know that Donut would have had the Sunburst to deal with it immediately.
Oh, and it's flipped. That's a 16-16 at least.
Yeah, and I think these might just be game over. Another spell Shidask is generated. Yeah, and I don't think there is anything left to do but cry from the side of Salty Simon. It was a nice effort. It looked like it could have been a win in game 2, but instead Scout defeated him, and now this Sholani is gonna stomp his face. This is just a surrender, and Donut wins 2-1 against Salty Simon.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, Simon, we saw that Simon didn't have a vengeance, but that spell shield, Simon only have 6 mana left. Donut just knew there's no way to kill this Zilani. I'm a better player and rolled spell shield, so I get to play it and win the game. So Simon just calls it. Well, that's one of the games. I don't believe we have the results of the other matches quite yet.
No, I don't think so. Let's see if we can get into the other games, or if we can get at least some results from what's happening in the other matches of this team match. Broken Balls versus Tron. What do you think about what happened? Like, this was a very, very, very good best of 3, I think. Even though it was very sad.
Close. It was so close.
Especially game 2, like game 3 wasn't so close. Game 1 was pretty close, you could say, even though Jinx leveling up, the rocket, giving an exact lethal to the side of Simon. The second game was insane. Like, Simon keeping control for like 10 minutes, and then in just one turn, 20 damage lethal thanks to the Sergeant from the side of Donut.
I think that Simon had a decent chance of stabilizing if he wasn't dead on that one turn. Either obviously if there's no Siren draw, but I think if he had 3 or 4 more health to work with, I think he had the Heimer in hand to start stabilizing with units. I think he might have been fine from there on, but barely scraping down with exactly 20. And of course, that last game, we just saw how powerful Siren Song is, putting on so much pressure, all those +1/+2s on all your units. Zilani was just the cherry on top. It was almost a done deal anyway.
And that's why we gave an edge, at least lineup-wise, to the side of Donut. Like, those decks are too fast to be, confronted with standard control tools. At least for the Heimerdinger Jace. Siren Song can burn you so quickly, can build the board so big, and you have to use your very heavy removals, and that costs too much mana.
Yeah, I think it paid off for Donut full mulling. Just, tossing with Evelyn, saying, Evelyn doesn't matter here, what I need is Siren Song, and getting it. And actually, we just heard Swiffer 2-0's Broken Ball, which means regardless of the result from Monte Cristo and Sar, Tron takes it at least 2-0 to BBB SSS. And
so me and the community loses. Man, community, I'm sorry if I've baited you with my pick, but yeah, Fansora, you said you were also helping them out, screaming and stuff. I think you're very proud of them, no?
Yes, it was all me, honestly. Could have done without me. No. But yeah, I mean, of course, I imagine, the EU team also puts in a lot of work, but I see the Tron screaming so much. Sorry, what was that? Monty 2-0'd. Swiffer maybe 2-0'd. We'll see. But Monty 2-0'd. Regardless.
Monty 2-0'd from mobile. Yeah, Monty 2-0'd from a museum with mobile. Yeah, with mobile gaming. So it's just built different. Can we say that?
Yes. Looks like Tron is 6-1. And with that, we'll take a break before starting the second round of the first week of Aegis.
See you soon.
future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain. How many came to fight and die here? How many legions overcome? How many scars are left behind us? But there will be no rises. There's always light waiting Hear the awakened round. Scream glory and scream courage. Here we stand forever from this day. We made it through fires to redemption on the other side. We're standing and we're burning bright. Alright. 'Cause we are timeless. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain. Disguised with senior treason. So look beyond to witness break fire, we break pain endlessly.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Aegis Heart of the Huntress League. We had a pretty exciting set last time. Zero, what do you think of that? Donut versus Simon.
Yeah, it was a banger of a set to start off the league, you know. It's like it was perfectly crafted because first game was incredible with that win just because Jinx leveled up with the last card from Simon's hand and could get the exact lethal, and then the second game was incredibly close with Simon trying to control the board, but in the end just a 20 damage attack, 20 damage exact lethal from the scout deck from Donut was enough to secure him the 1-1 in the series. And then the last one ended up with a very swift win from the side of Donut, and in the end it was a 2-1 victory from the Tron gamer, and Tron absolutely
actually
dominated. Yeah, Tron absolutely dominated. I mean, 2-1 in that best of 3, but Tron absolutely dominated overall because it was like 6-1, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was 6-1. Tron's going up 3-0 in the game wins. Speaking of game wins, Aegis Esports Heart of the Huntress League is sponsored by Community Gaming, your all-in-one tournament platform to help supercharge events of all levels, from community grassroots, like us, to Tier 1 professional events. Experience for yourself. Start playing and earning at Community Gaming IO today.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of today, we are on to the second match of the day, which is gonna be, I believe, between ABG Bandle City and Shadow Isles Mafia. So that's Money Mafia, and that's gonna be super, super interesting to see. What do you think is gonna win between these two teams?
I'm gonna have to say Shadow Isles Money Mafia, I think. There's a few more names there I recognize, and I'm kind of liking some of their lineups. We obviously see Fizz and Evelyn decks, but Karmaset is also a little bit of spice there. One of the strongest control decks, and we'll see how that fares because we didn't get to see much of that last set.
Yeah, we didn't really see much of that. We are hoping to see something different here. Probably that Gnar deck that we were talking about before, that Gnar broad main deck is gonna be very, very interesting because it's different from how the other control deck lists work in a way, because it has Jhin. Jhin can also go damage face really, really quickly. When Jhin's level up, every attack is a decimate on your opponent's faces. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see what is going to happen in this best of 3.
Yeah, and of course, this Jhin deck has the explosive finish of, you play your Riptide Rex with Jhin in hand, it fills the stack, your opponent can't do anything. They just have to sit there and take it. And then you condense and you do it again.
Yeah, you condense, you do it again. Everything is stand basically on your opponent. You can just attack with all the board that he has stand, and you just do some ping damage. It might help you to get lethal just with that attack.
Yeah. It's really interesting seeing Jhin being in a control deck like this, because since the beginning it's almost always been aggro, Annie Jhin mostly, and it's always been theorized that maybe you can make something out of it. So apart from just like other nerfs, this Avenging Vastaya is kind of one of the new additions to the Jhin quote-unquote region that allows this deck to exist. That extra counterplay in the form of a on-demand counterspell.
Yeah, of course, on-demand counterspell that comes from the Avenging of Vastaya is quote-unquote conditional, because it's still a 2/2 unit that you have to keep on the board, and so fills up a spot on the board and needs to survive. But overall, I think it's a very, very good deck, and especially since Nora can help you stabilize super, super well. And
of course.
And with this, we can say, of course, shout out also to Runeterra ER, that, as you can see, gives us the QR code that you can scan, and you can go there to watch your deck and even copy it and play it yourself. So Runeterra ER, very, very useful tool to check deck lists and see what the pros are playing.
Yeah. Anything else jump out at you about this deck list? Anything that's some power things that it's doing?
I really like the lightning rush, not just because it's some damage on your opponent, even over your opponent Nexus if you really want to, but it's a card that lets you replay a unit, because ultimate just recalls one of your unit. So I think it's very interesting to have it. It can act as a save lifeline for some of your units if they get targeted by spells like Vengeance and stuff, or it can be just to get more value and get another potentially spell from Conchologist or something like that. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, and I'm actually noticing there's actually no Riptide Rex. Just choosing to be like straight on control. All these slow broad main lovers just don't want win conditions. Who needs them? We'll just win the game with attrition.
Yeah, exactly. And triple Broadman, as you say, he is the very engine of this deck. We just need the Nora to stabilize the Gnar. Yeah, it's nice because it gives stuff vulnerable, can trade into stuff, especially when it's flipped, which is pretty easy to do since we have a lot of pings that can even go face. But overall, we have a lot of control tools, we have a lot of pings to keep the opponent's board at bay and to fill it up ourselves. For example, we even have Desert Naturalist if we really want, if the opponent plays Landmark, or we could use it to destroy them, or it's just a very good unit to have overall, especially since we have dropped the bomb.
Yeah, we can just, the amount of tempo swing, we've seen it previously with all the Sundis decks. 2/4 and a 5/4 on 4 is nothing to scoff at. I'm not sure what landmarks, I guess there's Reaver's Row. But I think it's mostly just, with the Nora package, you're just trying to stall out as long as possible. And that's what these broad main Nora decks have always been great at. Stalling out, removing your stuff, and eventually you get there just because you have stuff and your opponent doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, Nora has been good at that overall, you know, with Nora Viegor, Nora Veigar. Nora is always so useful because summons random stuff out of nowhere with portals. And since you play Portapalooza, Nora is gonna probably strike once or even twice in this kind of meta. Of course, Nora can block the Fizz, Nora can block the Teemo, can block Elusives. And so I think it's very, very interesting deck. Can have a lot of tools. You just play one off of Jhin because Jhin is not the main actor. It's not a Jhin any when you have to draw actually Jhin and put him on the board to win. He's just there for the passive and the deck building rule.
Yeah. So, of course, we have Karmaset, which we didn't see last time. This was banned last time, but maybe we'll see it this time? You know, all this powerful stuff. We have one of Hex Splitterator.
I think we have less units overall. I think we have less units overall compared to the list that we just saw from Salty Simon, last best of 3 that couldn't play because it got banned away. We see triple copy of Deny, which is very interesting. No Oracle.
I imagine some of the nice stuff is just you want to make sure you're able to stop the Siren Songs on turn 3. And you want the triple deny just to make sure you have that every single game. You have the Aftershocks also. You know, it's been a pretty decent middle of the pack sort of removal, but it also hits stuff like Reaver's Row if you're really trying to shut down all that. And honestly, unless you're going up against some really aggressive stuff, you know, like the Jinx stuff, maybe an Annie Jhin, this is enough units for the most part just to stall just a little bit, you know, Clocklink to start cycling, the coin generators, a little bit of value off of Ferris Financier, and eventually you'll just get to turn 10.
Yeah, and once you're to turn 10 with Karma on the board, like, you just win the game from there. It's literally designed, that champion is literally designed to win when you reach the enlightened status, and you can't blame her. It's so difficult to get there usually. When you get there, you want to be rewarded.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just get to turn 10. It's that easy.
Easy 5 and...
Let's see. And last deck is Kennen Jinx. This is kind of a little bit of a detour from our previous 2 control decks. It's very much a aggro deck. We saw a Jinx deck earlier. This is looking to go more in the discard package as opposed to the 1-drops with Bilgewater. One of the standouts, at least for me when I'm playing this deck, is Return a Wrench. Just, yeah, it's always discard fodder. You might think like, oh, you slow down your Jinx, and like, that's a little bit true. I'm not sure how much you've played it. It happens a little bit, but what's really nice is every blowback is turned on. Every parts mid hole is summoning a 3/2. Every electro harpoon is turned on. Every discarder is turned on, and that's just so nice to have.
That card is super good, especially when you are also running parts made whole. And so if you don't have any more fuel, and then maybe you don't even have found the Jinx, but you top get parts made whole, and you add this Return of Wrench that seem useless because it's a 2-mana weapon that just gives impact, then you can just play parts made whole, draw 2, and summon a 3/2 on the board. That's insane.
Yeah, the like only sad part about Return of Wrench is that when it lands on your I forget what it's called, but the O2 challenge, Flame Chompers.
Oh, see, yeah, because then it doesn't strike.
It doesn't strike, you don't get the impact. But there's some ways you can get around it. First of all, if it dies, it just comes back to your hand, which is not bad. And you also have the 3 Yordle Squires. You just give it 1 attack, and it will hit whatever it's hitting for 1, and you get the impact. And that's kind of one of the crazy things, is this has so much burn to start a forest fire. My god. Look at the triple blowback, triple mystic, triple electro harpoon, triple jinx. You just get there with all the chip damage.
Yeah, any and every inch of chip damage that you put into your opponents, like that's putting you closer and closer to the win, especially since you run such an absurd amount of burn. And especially when you see the Squeaker or even the Bildrat Rascal, they can really give you that power, the Mecha Yordles that you might need. Probably they can give you the Shreeman one, you know, summoning 2 Shreeman to send soldiers if you really need some board or some units on attack, or that can give you other units. For example, with the believe it's a 4-mana, the 4-mana Mecha Yordle that gives you 3 units in hand. That can be fuel, that can be anything you want, or even, you know, elusives with impact.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it's an aggro deck with so much value. It's kind of reminiscent a la like, you know, Samira Leona, where they would beat you down and then they would also have Ravoon. In this case, you have like the entire Mecha Yordo package. You have Return of Wrench. Basically, you know, blowback is doing 3 to a unit and 3 to Nexus. And if you have these free discards, essentially it's not a downside to discard, so you're getting all that damage just for 4 mana. So there's some such efficient cards that's enabled all because of Return of Wrench, I find.
Yeah, I really agree with you on this. Return of Wrench, really an amazing card. I think there were people that slept on it when the expansion came out, but then I think one of the first, at least in my experience, was my friend Ace told me, "Oh, this card is insane. Oh, let me see that. Oh, yeah." I read it and I said, "Oh, this is a must in every discard deck ever from now on until it's rotated because it's just too good."
I mean, when I first played this deck, I'm like, hey, Return of Wrench, it's an 0/0. It's only impact. It could probably use +1 attack, right? I would like if it's +1 attack. And then I played against Darkness, and Darkness played double Piercing Darknesses, and I still burned them out. I'm like, you know what? It's fine as is. It doesn't need anything.
Imagine if it was +1 attack. No, I wouldn't want to be in that age. No, I wouldn't want to be in that patch, honestly.
I no longer think that. That would be a bit much.
Yeah, I think everyone can see why, especially since impact is so powerful, especially in a deck like this. As you mentioned, every chip damage you put in is pivotal, and since you might have the advantage on the board, you know, in the early turn, since you run so many 1-drops and so many low-cost units, and then it's only physiological that in the mid to late game you get a little bit behind on the board. But it doesn't matter when you have impact, because they just have to strike. They don't have to eat the Nexus, and they just deal damage.
Well, the funny thing with like fizzling out is, you know, previous Jinx decks, they would fizzle out because their way to generate stuff would be like Rummage. And it would be really hard to Rummage in the late game once you fizzled out, because you need to get rid of your real cards. And you need to wait a bit. Whereas like Parts Made Whole only discards 1, and that's going to discard your Return of Wrench. Any of the Mecha Yordle generators will discard Return of Wrench. And so you're not actually discarding anything. Like, you're never losing cards on these trades. So, looking at all the decks between the two teams, who do you think is going to win?
Let me take a look. That's a very interesting question. I think, as I said, Shadow Isles Money Mafia could be advantaged, but then again, we would need to see, you know, who is picked with which of the players are going against, and of course, the each and every best of 3, you know, pick and ban phase. So that's also gonna be very interesting. I think Shadow Isles should be favored, but ABG has already shown that they know how to play and they can utilize their advantages to great effect.
Great. So hear me out. I've got a really simple way to determine who's going to win every match. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. You count the Siren Song decks, and whoever has more is going to win.
Okay. That makes sense, honestly.
But if we do that, Shadow Isles Money Mafia has, I think, like, depending on the Jinx decks, like 4 to 6 or something.
And we just saw that one Jinx wasn't a Siren Song deck, okay? We've just seen, so one is ruled out, but I think it's like 4.
Yeah. We got the double Fizz, you know, double Diana Evelyn, and then we actually have Kaisa. What are your thoughts on those? Oh, look at those predictions.
Oh, okay.
We're sorry, ABG.
I'm sorry, BG. Everything is pretty unanimous. Ersh and the community agree. They're agreeing with us too. So that's interesting. Let's see if ABG can go against expectations and play the underdog part.
For sure. I also saw like you know, Shadow Isles Money Mafia is running 2 different Kaisa decks. What have you thought about that? Kaisa like hasn't really been a deal since like way back when, and you know, the past few seasonals is kind of making a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with some of especially the OCE players, you know, and we were playing ladder together, and I actually saw some Kaisa decks doing pretty well in ladder. I don't know if how many of them reached masters, but they were not doing like super bad. So I think Kaisa really came out a little bit strengthened from the release of the expansion. I don't really know how strong it is in the global meta. I think it's playable. We are gonna see how it fares. Like, you know, this is also proving ground. This is the first week. Everyone is just tasting the water a little bit, testing the water. So, what do you think about this?
I mean, it just breaks my heart a little bit because Mono Kaisa was my Like, that was my deck. I love that deck, even though everyone hated it because it was way too strong, and then it got nerfed, and it was still way too strong. So it does hurt a little bit to see that this deck is no longer a combo deck. It's much more mid-rangey. And, you know, Demacia. Can't even. But it definitely has, like, you know, you're running a little champion strength. Kaisa is still a house, and as long as you can navigate properly around the sorts of, like, Ionia and Shadow Isles decks, there's not great ways to deal with Kaisa. No one's running like single combat really. There's, you know, what's the card? Sunburst maybe to deal with stuff. But you also have very efficient units, like much like the Siren Song stuff. All the evolve stuff, once you hit evolve, you're playing extremely efficient units, and so that's ways that you can get around all these decks, and you can get online a little faster sometimes.
And when you think about it, like especially those evolves, like you're absolutely right. If you think about it, especially on ladder, I don't know about the tournament scene yet and Kaisa, but especially in ladder, there is so much elusive going on that if you play Kaisa and you hit elusive as a keyword, you know, with one of your voidlings, and you can transfer it to Kaisa, like the game is suddenly over for them. Or if you hit lifesteal, then it's game over. They really can't play if you get to attack once with Kaisa. So that's very interesting. Like the evolve package has always been strong, especially when you get to have it online, because it gives so much stats and the units are very cost efficient. So I'm gonna be really interested to see how Kaisa plays in this meta.
For sure. Also, other fun decks. One of Rise by Mati24 Mayo. What do you think about Rise right now?
Okay, I've seen in all my ladder experience, I've seen Rise once, okay, this season, and they have lost. So not the best experience, but I think that probably, like, at least some players, some like long time coming Rise players, they can be very dangerous just because they have this very big proficiency on the deck. What do you think? Like, I think Rise is very weird as a champion, that if it can stabilize if you can stabilize in the meta well enough, then it's broken, because Rise is a very unbalanced on that side, I think, deck.
It's kind of weird, right? Because if we're looking at like the top decks, you have all the, you know, Siren Song decks, and I can't see Rise winning those like ever.
I think there is like a god and like combination of like imperfect runes that you have to get. Like,
right. Well, you have to deny on 3, and they don't draw another one, and then you get perfect runes, and everything works out from there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, I think that would work. But that's such an incredible combination. Like that's something that, especially in a competitive match, you can't think of that happening.
Right. But the other thing is, like, if we looked at the other top decks, we saw Karma up there, right? And Rise should be good into Karma. So I can see this kind of being like, oh, we'll try to figure, especially in Aegis where you get to choose who's playing who, you get to try to work around the, you know, all the annoying Siren Song decks and try to get your good matchups. So I can see the thought behind it.
Yeah, but if you get against like a lineup with triple, I mean, we have not seen lineups with triple Siren Song, but they can be done.
It's just
I have friends that say that they can be done. Yeah, just top right
at that point.
If you are against a lineup with 2 Siren Song, okay, one you can ban, the other you lose, and you think about defeating the other deck twice, that's still doable, but you're making things for yourself really difficult. Of course, here we are taking a look at the Kaisa deck list once again. 3 copies of Kaisa and 2 copies of Garrett and 1 of Jarvan the Fourth. We see, of course, the champion strength, just 1 off, the riposte, very powerful for like incredible trades if you can hit the right spot to play it. We have a lot of evolved unit. We have the Hatchling, the Voidling, the Belvetti Elder to give her overwhelm potentially, and to give her spell shield, and the Void Blaster.
Yeah, and the one thing that seems kind of new to these decks is the Scrying Sands. I guess it's just to smooth things out. You get some. It's effectively the same thing as a form up in a lot of situations, just for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Pop Spell Shield, which could be nice against certain decks as well. You can get there with you know, either Quicksand if you need to, or just single combat, or Cataclysm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think more Cataclysm probably, just because the others are, you don't run a lot of them really, or maybe even to get Kaisa's skill go through when she's leveled up, maybe if you really need it.
Yeah, I've always loved how Ceresai Hatchling is just a staple of this deck. You know, as I've always said, Kaisa's the best lurk deck.
That's absolutely true. I mean, James wouldn't agree. You know, James F.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah, Lure Clover, but yeah, for sure, Hatchlings here, very well.
See what else
Just
do
to
we
give
have?
fearsome to our Kaisa, just because.
Well, also the lurk, because sometimes you roll fearsome off of the hatchling, not the hatchling, the voidling, but you're never gonna roll lurk off of the voidling. So it's just a free keyword.
Yeah, free keyword, you know, you evolve faster, and here we are, another Diana Siren Song Evelyn deck, which is very similar to the other one. This time, not running any
Winding Light?
any Winding Light, but 3 copies of Sholani's the Blood Weaving.
Yeah. We also see it's a bit more anti-aggro with the triple Cosmic Youngling. I don't know if the other version had that.
I think not. This is double Cosmic Youngling, but I think they didn't run any, or at least once. I mean, one Cosmic Youngling, especially if you can, if it's buffed by an Ask, it can even trade into multiple units. It's very powerful at that point, and it just gives you that little bit of health that may help you against, for example, Jinx decks. So they can't reach lethal that easily. Then again, we see the Moonlight Affliction to get, you know, cheeky lethals, potentially also silencing your opponent units, maybe even a Jinx. You can go and open silence a Jinx if you have, you know, the Petal from the Lunari Duskbringer already in hand. You can Sunburst stuff, and you can Sunburst threat, and of course Pale Cascade, the staple to cycle through your deck and buff your units.
And of course, we also have these 2 Lunari Shadestalkers in case you don't roll elusive off of your husks. You get some guaranteed elusive to block all those Teemos, anything else that might get through.
Yeah, it's a 2/3, can block a fair share of elusive, honestly.
It's not a 2/3, it's like a 3/5 or something, at least as it comes down.
Yeah,
gotta get a couple husk stuff to there.
Yeah, even buffed, like some asks buffed by Siren Song, maybe even by Domination, so it gets more attack.
Yep. And I believe the last deck we have is an Aatrox Quinn Vane deck.
What do you think about this?
This is one of the other decks that kind of wasn't touched from the last meta. I haven't seen much of it, but I must imagine it's still very strong. Like, Brain Unite Defector plus Heart is always going to be broken.
Yeah, for sure. And especially since we have so many, you know, ways to even build the board. We have a lot of cheap units we can put on the the blood letters down that can, you know, summon more of those trials for attack. And yeah, I think we are going into the match because they already started, so we are gonna know the band soon enough. We still don't know what the bands were, but we are immediately in, and it's gonna be Kaisa against this Jinx deck, and Jinx has already, the Jinx deck has already dealt some damage.
Yeah, it looks like the Kaisa deck is, I think, just hit Evolve though. So, you know, no Kaisa in hand, but this Void Blaster's a 6/6, even Combat Cook. Jarvan can come down next turn, especially if Chinos plays this Jinx. I don't think it's quite set for Jinx yet, although we do see at least 5 damage of burn in hand.
Yeah, we see the blowback, which we still don't have all the necessary cards, you know, to discard to play it, because I doubt we want to discard the Jinx. The Jinx is gonna be played instead. And of course, the Electric Harpoon.
If you see, the Squeaker has a little hammer, so at the very least, we have 1 Returner Wrench and a Jury Rig.
That's absolutely true. We are gonna be able to trade the Squeaker in now. The Jinx is gonna probably die from the Jarvan. I don't think there is much of a way to save her. We could kill the Jarvan though. I don't know if it's worth, but we could try to kill the Jarvan in return. And here the Squeaker, I think, is just gonna kill the... no, it's not gonna go kill Youngling because it can't. Yeah, of course, because of Brash, so it can't block it because it's only 2 LT unit. You would need to be at least 3 HP to block that, and it's gonna be quite a lot of damage from the Overwhelm coming in. So
my thought here is, from Chinos' side, we're probably never gonna have the board again. The only way to get through is with you know, elusives or impact or something like that, or just burn. So I don't want to ever be discarding extra cards off the blowback. So I kind of like this. You know, you kill the Jarvan so you don't die later or die sooner. And you know, we're gonna get the weapon back so we can Electro Harpoon this Void Blaster if we want. And then eventually we'll just start ticking up with you know, burn off of this impact, or you know, draw off parts made whole. It's gonna be pretty close. It's gonna be, I believe Chinos has until next attack turn, like next AJ's attack turn to kill.
Yeah, I mean, there is not much that the pro can do right now. The Kaisa is gonna be top decked, so a lot of damage coming in. Probably even the end of the game for the side of Chinos if AJ the pro is allowed to strike again. Kaisa's coming down, of course, being evolved. She's immediately leveling up. She's gonna take the Brash keyword. Potentially from the Voidling or the double keyword from the Petrified Broadwing.
I mean, Chinos just needs to draw another blowback. It's really close.
And his plus, yeah, and Parts Made All is gonna make basically sure that the blowback could be played next turn. So definitely, you need no, not going for the draw now. Okay,
I mean,
that's interesting.
I feel like we need a fish for, like, you know, we have Electro Harpoon, we have, you know, just units to block a little bit, force action.
Red Squeaker, nothing.
Oh, didn't find
save him, and it's just GG here for the first game of the best of 3. AJ the Pro is gonna take the win with Kaisa.
Hold on there. He doesn't have the damage yet.
True. Not yet because of the block. Yeah, true. I was already, you know, making him done and dusted, but instead he's gonna be able to put down the Shadow Tech Talker, which isn't theory lethal.
What? Wait.
Instead, it's gonna opt to play the 6 mana that can't be played right now, so he can't go for an open attack next turn.
It's not an open attack, but it's still technically lethal with all the impacts.
Yeah, there is to be seen if AJ the Pro can top deck. I think one of the only ways that he can survive right now is probably a Cataclysm or something.
Yeah. There's also form up into single combat as well. Oh, well,
It's nothing.
That looks like it's gonna be game.
Yeah, it really looks it's gonna be game. And Chinos, you know, by the skin of his teeth with this deck. Really important to have that much amount of cycling, you know, with the Parts Made All, being able to block, not dying because of the damage. You are at 4 HP, perfectly safe. You can get the Mystic Shot to be even more sure there is no elusive blocker. And AJ the Pro just gonna surrender.
Yeah, just nothing in hand to stop it. Go next, save mental. So, we'll see which deck got banned for Chinos' side. Let's see.
What do you think his opponent should have banned, based on what we saw about the lineups?
I mean, either Karmaset or Narjin.
Okay, so that doesn't help us a lot. Since we saw the other deck, it's fine. We are gonna see soon enough what deck is not being banned, and it's gonna be the Charm. Yeah, it looks like the Narjin is being banned.
Yeah. I suppose, like, the pings are a little annoying for your Vayne, maybe. Although Aatrox Vayne shouldn't be too bad.
I mean, the problem is probably when you get like the Broadman on the board, and there is nothing the opponent can do if you are you know, an Aatrox deck, because then he can just ping and ping and ping again and again and again, and your unit just die without an interaction.
I'm liking AJ's hand a good bit. Just needs a Kaisa basically, and should be evolved.
Yeah, look at all those two young Voidlings plus the Hatchling. That's a lot of keywords already. Of course, not eating Fearsome on the first Voidling, very, very good, of course, because then you're not overwriting keywords. Two other keywords are gonna be given by the Petrified Broadwing once a third unit is played on the board, giving him, of course, also Challenger.
Chinos is like should be fine for now. If you need to, you can concussive palm, but likely AJ will not be putting up a whole lot of damage. Actually, no. It depends what that last Voidling keyword is, I believe. If that is a unique keyword, I believe that's evolved.
Yeah, that should be an evolution
There it
right
is.
here, and it's fated, which I think it can be activated just by the Kaisa spell. I don't think there are any other ways to activate it. Maybe I'm wrong. And we
There's a
see
couple
the first
form-ups.
strike. Oh, true, the form-ups. Absolutely true. And of course, single combat too can activate it. So quite a little bit of stuff, and so it's gonna be traded immediately.
Yeah. Oh, the scary 3/3 Voidling. Ooh. I mean, it's the sort of thing where like Faded is definitely one of the worst ones you can hit, except when it's the 6th one. If it's the new one, that's all you need.
That's kind of true. Let's see now what Chinos is gonna do. I think Chinos can afford to play reactive, of course. He's the reactive deck. Not drawing any mixologist though here is a little bit unlucky, because then you would just heal 3, put a valid unit on board to trade down with your opponent, maybe make her being challenged by Specialist Broadwing so that you can avoid 3 damage. But the Pit Fighter is gonna go down. Is Fearsome Blocker, of course, gonna trade into all of the units from AJ side.
Yeah, I like the the spell shield draw and play from AJ. Just it makes it so much harder, and because you have the Broadwing to pull to the side. Oh, another one. I'm not sure it's close because we can go 2 into 3, which saves our Broadwing and develops another spell shield attacker, which Chinos basically can't really deal with them, because if you spend 2 spells to deal with one of the spell shield ones, you're just accepting you're gonna get hit by everything else, and you're almost dead at that point.
I think you might just now play the Palm on the Patriot Broadwing to just stun a unit to develop a blocker. At the same time, you can trade with both of the 5/3s at the same time. You can't put Set down because that would keep you out of mana probably for other interactions.
You know
wouldn't have
what,
Palm
though?
anymore.
If Chinos goes for that line of stunning, AJ can quicksand to save both spell shield units. And let me check if Chinos has
How many quicksands does he have in the deck?
well, I'm trying to check how many what's it?
Ooh, nothing is done. So the Durant Protege is gonna come down, giving +1 HPs and, of course, stuff to the Patriot Broadwing, and that's gonna prompt Chinos to play the Concussive Bombs and probably go and trade both of the 5/3s. And this is gonna be a punished play.
I think AJ might do it because Chinos doesn't have any Caustic Rifts. So there's no easy way for Chinos to kill these units afterwards. Hino's not going to be active soon enough.
Yeah, no easy way. 8 damage coming in. So Chinos is gonna go down at 5 HPs with no units on the board. Now we're recalling this Palm, this Concussive Palm potential. At least we are thinking about it to have it replayable on the next attack for AJ. But this goes through, and this is a horrible board state for Chinos.
I mean, with the Jarvan in hand, I'm not sure if Chinos is going to have enough blockers to be able to deal with the open attack.
I don't think so, and he's not gonna have enough mana to play to play everything he needs to survive. I don't think he has what he needs. I don't think he has what it takes to survive here. But let's see.
And like with the Voidling pickup, whatever said kills here is just going to be replaced. Right?
Yeah.
Do this.
So
We replace the Voidling.
one.
Open attack, leave the Hatchling behind to get the Jarvan in. I think this might be game.
Yeah, this should just be lethal, and this would be a very fast 1-1 from the side of AJ. Very fast second game here. Let's see if it lines up everything correctly. The Clockling is gonna be grabbed by the Jarvan the Fourth, and I don't think there is anything that Chinos can do. There is not enough mana to recall all the units that he needs to, especially the one with Spell Shield. Jarvan even levels up, but there is no need, and it's just 1-1 for AJ the Pro winning the second game swiftly with domination over the board.
Yeah, those spell shields really putting in work against the deck like Karma's set. Just no efficient way to deal with it. Maybe something like Narjin, if that's still up, is better equipped, but you know, that's why you ban that and play into the Karma set, which just has these like, you know, 4 mana spells that if you want to stop a spell shield unit, you're spending 8 mana.
Yeah, exactly. And if we look at the side of AJ, he had this Kaisa deck, then the Diana of Evelyn and the Aatrox Queen. So we have to see what did his opponent ban between the Diana Evelyn and Aatrox Queen Bane. We're gonna see, and apparently it banned the Aatrox Queen Bane, so we're gonna see Diana Evelyn, Siren Song. What do you think Karmaset can do against the Siren Song deck? And Siren Song is played. Is there gonna be a deny on the side of Chinos? There is no deny at the moment.
I'll answer you after we see if Chinos has the deny draw, because if not, I think it's gonna be a very tough game from here on if you can slam Siren Song. For his part, do you think you just slam it and say if they have it, or do you think they try to, you know, bait out something and then get the deny? Because I think you just play it.
I think you play it because that's your game, like that's your deck game plan. You know your opponent is playing for you know, the deny. Your opponent needs to have the deny, probably full mulligan for deny, full mulligan for Siren Song. Whoever is more lucky wins, probably, at least in that exchange.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, if you try to like out mind game each other and you just don't do anything, that's so much better for the Karma player.
Exactly, the Karma player is just waiting for you to do stuff. He doesn't have to do anything unless you commit first. He just wants to get to the late game, and if you let him be, he just wins.
Hard.
Okay. No deny. Let's see what's the last stop from the side of Chinos. No deny.
I don't have it. No, we lived on meta 0.
Let's see if AJ commits it immediately. This would be a very big commitment. Then you would, then Chinos would have
is
to
AJ
go
here?
and kill immediately.
I don't know if AJ is here.
Could have we been disconnected?
He's not there.
We don't know.
Oh no.
Let's see.
They rope turn 2 as well. So
I don't see any movement in his end, but that's fine because we don't have I don't think he's here. I think he might have disconnected.
Oh. That would have been such a good draw. Siren Song into Evelyn, domination.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Siren Song could have been killed probably. Like if Chinos would have probably committed the Mystic Shot on the Ask, then we would have saved it with Pale Cascade, and then Chinos could have killed it again with Aftershock. And we see Chinos here probably understood that something is off about his opponent. Let's see if AJ can come back to us. I really hope he does. That's very unfortunate when it happens, of course. No one has control over that kind of stuff, and AJ, of course, doesn't want it. We've seen he's a very good player. He won. Arthur is back.
There we go. Well, turn late.
Yeah, let's go.
But we still got Siren Song online. That's all we need, baby.
Yeah, that's all we need. Siren Song is online. There's no deny top deck on the last turn from the side of Chinos, and suddenly the game is turning once again. Let's see how much this commitment is gonna go forward. We could commit right now the Pale Cascade to save the Ask.
We could also play Hate Spike.
And get another Ask, get a kill on already, getting a kill potentially already on the Sholani, Blood Weaver, and we get another Ask, we reroll, and it's a spell shield. So insane for the Evelyn. We don't play it on the Evelyn though, we just play it on the Lifesteal Ask. That's interesting.
Oh yeah? Okay. Maybe with the elusive in hand, AJ's thinking, oh, I have the hand right now to go fast. But, I mean, developing Evelyn's always so good, though, is the thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Evelyn could be developed now, but without any Ask. I don't know how valuable it is. We get another Ask. This time is a fearsome one.
You think we're gonna see an Aftershock on a Husk?
I think we could see Aftershock on the main.
Ooh. Okay, see, I'm not sure about this because once you have the Siren Song played, domination kind of doesn't matter anymore.
That's true, but it gives +1 attack to stuff and you don't want to be aggroed so fast. So Chinos is for sure thinking about it. Between the Fearsome Ask, maybe Fearsome is not the keyword you're most scared of, just because every single one of your units can block Fearsomes. So the domination is gonna be the target and she's gonna be killed. Also, domination wasn't a buffed unit, so you don't get a stack for Sholani.
True. Ooh. That
Ooh,
Diana
this
top
could be
deck might be
today.
nice.
Yeah, exactly. This Diana, especially if it's a good ask here. Another elusive ask. We have the elusive Diana potentially coming down and hitting the Nexus now with an elusive Evelyn just for this turn.
We also still have the Pale Cascade backup. It doesn't seem to matter here, but it's just nice having that little insurance, being able to carry that forward. Also, Evelyn's spell, it can be very clutch later on, just stopping any of the stuns or anything, recalls, pushing through that damage.
Yeah, and this is just a lot of damage. 10 damage potentially declared, committed just from the two elusive units alone. This is gonna be concussive palms to block the 7 damage from the Evelyn. The 3 from Diana are still coming through.
Honestly, looking at the hands, Chinos needs to hit some decent draws. Like if Set comes down and AG responds with a Sunburst, it's gonna be really bad, because then you just follow up with the Lunari Shadestalker, which is gonna get buffed by the Husk that Evelyn gives. It's gonna be kind of tough, I think, from here.
Yeah, I mean, to stop the Sunburst, you would need right now like a Deny top deck immediately, because then you would have enough mana to play Set plus Deny. That's something that he needs desperately here, I think.
Even with a like recall, I'm not sure if that's gonna be good falling so far behind on tempo.
Yeah, especially because you have to play those 5 mana again, which is, good for set a level up, but not for anything else. Place your bets to draw more into your deck. You don't draw anything too fundamental, though. The Clockling is nice. You can look more into your deck. The Pharaohs, of course, allowing you for that crazy spell generation that can turn games on their head. But then again, those are not the draws that you were expecting.
Yeah. AJ doesn't have a great way. There's 3 Nightfall cards and nothing to play first. I feel like you need to do something though. You can't just skip here. So it's between playing out a Shadestalker without elusive, which I think might be the play.
I think it's just better to play the Shadestalker than the Pale Cascades without cycling. Like Pale Cascade, like drawing is so much better than just having elusive keyword. You don't even need elusive that much in this matchup. The opponent is never having that big of a board, especially when they only have 4 unit mana left. Of course, they have the coin to play more if they want to, but I don't think the coin is too big. And instead, they're just opting to play Pale Cascade naked. Okay.
I mean, you get a bit more damage on the elusive. It's now permanent, which is kind of nice off the Pale Cascade. So
it's more about drawing than anything else, I think, of course. The drawing is so powerful, and of course we see the Clockling coming down, an elusive unit to stop.
Ooh, one of these recalls looks nice.
Yeah, I would probably take Tag out.
See, the thing is, up until now, Chinos doesn't have a way to stop Solani, but now with the Tag out, he does. Unless there's an elusive or a spell shield.
I mean, there is an Evelyn on the board, and that Evelyn is generating more asks every turn. Let's see what else we get. No, it's just a quick attack. But we don't have a Solani right now, so it's fine.
See, this hand, I think we need ways to just get more cards, but there's no easy way to do it.
Immediately 8 spikes. And we see the answer, but that was what we wanted. We just wanted to play the 8 spikes to get some cycling value from the Pale Cascade, so we can save the ask. There is no interaction right now that can save, that can kill the ask. At best, they can recall it.
Moonlight Affliction that seems almost really good. It's unfortunate you can't get Moonlight and Evelyn's spell. But Chinos doesn't have a lot of blockers. So if Chinos plays a blocker, forgetting about this, or trying to think, oh, maybe he doesn't have it, it's only a 1-of. This could be game. I believe Chinos has, 2 coins? 2 or 3 coins, not many.
I don't think I think one was Mixologist, the other was Place Your Bet. I don't think there has been any.
Oh, that'll be 3 coins.
Played. Oh, 2. Okay. Then it should be 3.
Harder. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think any other coin is being played. This is 15 damage being declared, not quite lethal yet, but it's just 1-off.
Unfortunately, you know, if I'm Chinos and I'm at 1, that's the perfect place to be. You're thriving, in fact.
1 HP is safe.
Yeah.
That's what every time we say. I mean, it's not really 1 HP, then you can play Mixologist down and you can be up to 4 again. Of course, you're still quite a little bit far from Karma leveling up. Karma is gonna level up on your opponent next attack turn, which is not the best, thing ever potentially for you, especially since you put Karma down next turn. She immediately gets obliterated. I mean, not literally obliterated, but she just gets killed by the Sunburst.
Well, there's a Sunburst and
Another Sunburst.
Well, there's 2 Sunbursts and an Evelyn spell. So this, I don't think set's good enough to clear the board. Or okay, it's still gonna eat the Sunburst. So
yeah, the set is eating the Sunburst, but I don't think there is anything else for Chinos to do. Like if you go for a tag out, then AJ says, okay, fine, you have to play 5 mana. You have to play the coin.
I think we were supposed to
once again.
I think we're supposed to tag out the Karma. Because I'm not sure if we have a line other than Karma place your bets next turn. But I could be wrong.
This is a lot of mana, but set is being played down. That means that we don't have we are not gonna have an action to have Karma down next turn if the opponent decides to open.
It's gonna be brutal when this Evelyn spells comes through. But also, you can just play like Sunburst, or you could just replay Evelyn. This seems really rough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what would have been the worst
really
is
bad.
if Chinos pulled like a Diana or something and then this happened. But actually, no, that wouldn't work. Never mind. That's not how this works.
Right now, of course, the Obliterate spell is still gonna be played. I think we're obliterating the Evelyn, of course. The Ask, the 4/1, the 1 drop is not gonna die since
Everything is tough and spell shield.
Exactly, so you're not getting much value out of this other than killing the unit that you choose to obliterate. Of course, Evelyn, you can block her, so you're not going for air, you're going for the Lunari, since she's the most damage dealing elusive unit that your opponent has on board right now. I think you might have to play this Aftershock to try and kill the Diana, another, of course, elusive unit.
The one saving grace
is gonna
is
come
that
out now.
AJ can't activate Moonlight Affliction yet. It's going to take multiple actions, in which case Chinos can place Karma to place your bets. Which
Unless
I think
AJ top decks Targonian Tellstones.
there's no Targon in Duststones. It has to be another Pale
okay.
Cascade.
Okay. It's gonna be a stem.
Wait,
It's gonna be a stem.
Oh, it doesn't matter if Karma comes down because it's going to be silenced.
Yeah, Karma is silenced by Moonlight Affliction. That means no spells are gonna be doubled. You can't play that place your bet and double it down. You can't play that coin after that. There is not gonna be such play being done. This stem is gonna come out, giving vulnerable.
Oh no!
Karma is here, and Karma can't even block. Nothing will be able to block from the side of Chinos, and this is just gonna be the strike of victory from the side of AJ.
There we go. Moonlight Affliction is
plus
so
can't
good.
block.
What a
Just
powerful
get
combination.
afflicted.
See, that's just gotta be rough, just thinking, oh, double Sunburst, the one of Moonlight Affliction, how could I play around it? They drew all their one-ofs. But
Yeah, and we have some fumes, so maybe, if this was Karma leveled up, some fumes would have done probably something. You would have another 2 spells to work with. Probably you would have placed place your bets, have infinite coins, infinite mana. You can play anything you want, but this is not the case, and this is just victory for AJ. In a very stunning way. I think he played very well this game. He also had a very good draws, we can say. Even though he went AFK for a little bit in the early turns. I mean, it's still up to doubt. I don't know if he was really disconnected at that point, because he just was alive at turn 3 when it really mattered, and turn 4. But then again, he won in the end. So good job for him.
yeah, it was just BM. He knew he could win the whole time, just like, I don't need those turns, I'll just burn the 3 mana, it's fine. Anyway.
let your opponent draw 2 more cards and then say, okay, if they have it, they have it. They've drawn 2 more. I could have done it 2 turns ago. They would have had way less opportunities to have a deny in hand. But in the end, deny never came in from the side of Venus.
Just no fear against the Karma set, letting them get 1 more turn. No need. But that Kaisa deck really put stuff in. All right, looks like we're going into the set between Maddie and Poker King. See how the rest of this set's going to shake out between Shadow's Money Mafia and ABG Bandle City. Oh, it's Rise!
Matty Mayo with the Rise deck having all Rise runes, and let's see if this can be lethal. Of course, this is not lethal by any means.
Well,
from the side of Poking, and so this is gonna be I think the winning strike in open from the side of Matty Mayo. He doesn't fear anything, and Poking has to surrender. Rise wins a game against a Siren Song deck. What have I watched?
What a thrilling set between. I'm glad we got to see that set 0. It was what a rousing battle between those two.
The finale. We just saw. It's like you come in your friend's room. He's watching like the finale of this TV series that went down for like 7 seasons, and you're just watching the final 3 minutes, and you say, "Okay, I've understood everything. I know how everything happened. Good job."
Yep. All right. So it turns out that was only the second game. So we'll be able to see the tiebreaker between them. It's going to be Fizz, Bilgewater, Targon, Fizz versus something. Let's see.
Let's see what Matty Mayo is playing. Matty Mayo is playing Karmaset and Ilaoi's Wayne, other than Rise. I really hope we get to see the Ilaoi's Wayne deck, to be honest.
Yeah, we haven't seen that.
Looks very interesting.
I mean, Rise looked like they were doing pretty well right there. You know, 12 health is a lot against Rise. Like, you're eating good tonight if you're at 12 against an aggro deck.
I think happened what we said, like they didn't have immediately maybe Siren Song, and then Rise got all the runes he needed, one after the other. He got mana back with the rune, and then he started cycling the maybe the stance and the yield and the health back and everything like that. It gets really annoying when the Rise starts, running and the engine is on.
I stand corrected. Madi won.
Okay, not even one.
Blame Hirsch for any issues. It looks like Null won as well, which means ABG Bandle City went 2-1 against Shadow's Money Mafia, which means everyone was wrong.
Today the underdogs are winning. ABG getting the win when every single one, like me, you, Hirsch, and even the community, gave Shadow's Money Mafia the edge.
I might need to revise my count the number of Siren Songs strategy for guessing who wins.
Yeah, Siren Song is not the cool deck anymore. We only want Rise.
Yeah.
How many Rise are in the lineup? Yeah, that team is gonna win. I'm telling you.
And just count the rises. It was like 1 versus 0.
Exactly. Skill diff.
Let's see. I'm actually curious how many Rises there are. There's one person playing Rise, and we saw 2 seconds of it.
It's just Matty Mayo winning with his Rise. Is the only man on the Rise on the Rise ship. He's trying not to let it sink, and he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, just 100% win rate deck. It's that simple.
But yeah, like Sanko's fallacy.
Exactly. Well, I believe with that, we're going to cut to break, and when we'll be back, we'll be here with the collab set between Too Tall and Castaways 3.
See you soon.
time I touch Mac. Every time I touch Mac.
Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
Every time I touch Mac. Every time I touch Mac.
Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
cloud, you're the storm in the rain. Intoxicated sun, if the sunshine let me know. All my thoughts move in the darkness of pouring. Temple of stone, my soul is. Should I pretend like we're just dancing in the sunlight? And I'm done waiting, and every day until I realize you're the rain on my every days. Dark cloud, you're the storm in the rain.
Welcome back to Aegis Week 1 of Heart of the Huntress. We're about to go into the collab set. Zero, are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready. I really enjoy collab sets. 3 players per team thinking about all their moves together. That guarantees a very high level play.
Yeah. I'm not sure about you, but the collabs that I've been, the first one I was in, it was super hectic. It didn't work well. I think we ran out of time multiple times.
I mean, it can happen, especially since I know even a lot of people that played in European Masters back in the day, you know. So when the 3v3 was first introduced as a collab, you know, set of one team against the other. But we are in the deck selection screen, and we can see Tuto with their first deck, Fizz. Of course, we know this deck. It's the River Rose Siren Song with Mono Fizz. What do you think about this? It's a bit different iteration because we've seen a lot of other stuff today, not quite Mono Fizz yet, I think.
I mean, we've basically seen this deck before. There's not that much different, you know, 21 drops and a bunch of Siren Song stuff. The one thing that does interest me is the triple Moonlight Affliction. That seems it's gonna come to play quite a bit if this deck does not get banned, which I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
We have seen how Moonlight Affliction can be very pivotal to the matchups. We have just seen Moonlight Affliction defeating altogether a Karma that would have been leveled up on board. So even against other decks that are more present on the board, of course, giving 2 other cards on your opponent's deck, on your opponent's side, the inability to block, it's super huge, especially since every single one of your units is gonna be giant with Reverse Throwdown and with the Siren Song being played.
For sure. The next deck up we have is Karma Set, which you've seen a little bit before. You know, 1 ban and 1 loss as far as it might have been 2 losses as we've seen so far. But this is, you know, fairly standard. 1 Caustic Rift though. This would have been good in that one game we saw earlier against the Spell Shielded units. Maybe it will come in use now against something like, you know, Echo Jinx and Aatrox Vayne, as we'll see soon on the other side. Any thoughts you have on this?
Not really. I mean, we've already talked about these extensively, you know. The strengths and the weaknesses of this deck are pretty well known. We always see the pretty much same splits. Of course, you said 1 Caustic Rift can make a big difference potentially in some matchups. I don't know if you're gonna see those matchups, but that's very interesting combination. Of course, the 3 copies of Deny are always there to stop the Siren Song. Let's see if the Karma Set this time around is gonna be more lucky. I think we should go on with the 3rd deck, since this one we've already seen plenty, and it's a Lord Brogman list.
Yeah, you know, it's about the same. Still no Rex on this version. A few one-ofs, you know, Poison Dart, Teammaker, but it's about the same as we've seen already. Same Nora early game into broad main lane game.
Yeah, we have also this one of this Grandfather Fed that can generate the Owl Cat, put more units on the board, maybe even trade, since it gives them, you know, that juicy +1 attack. So you can trade with 3 attack into more units. That's very interesting, of course, overall. Let's see what Castaways brought to the table too.
And here we see it, the Tour de Force Riptide Rex. I hope we get to see Riptide Rex spot. Even though I think that the other team's gonna win, I hope we get to see some cool Riptide Rex shenanigans with Condense.
Yeah, of course, and Rex in Italian, in Latin means king, so he is the king of Bilgewater. Of course, no Bilgewater being played this region here, it's just because of Jean's passive and deck building rule, but let's see if this Rex can be the king of the game, if he's gonna be played in the end. Of course, everything else pretty standard. Only 1 copy of Desert Naturalist before we have seen like being played twice. Even more so probably to go against other Reverse Throw, as you rightfully said. Let's see what the other decks of Castaways are, and this is interesting. A Vayne, Queen, Aatrox, as we've seen before. 2 Aatroxes here, 1 of Queen just to have that potential scout tax, take the win. What do you think of this list?
I mean, this one has always been pretty good these past few standard metas. The one of Blood Curse Harpy, I'm interesting to see how that works out. I'm not sure if it's going to line up very nicely against the decks we saw from Tutal. Just either it's too expensive or like Karma Set can just bounce it. So we'll see if that's a problem there. But everything else is fairly standard. Silence and Suppress is interesting. It's going to be nice against some of those broad mains. Yeah.
Yeah, not something you usually see on the Suppress, and here we are with Echo Jinx, the deck that we both wanted to see. What do you think about this? It's been a long time since I've seen Echo Jinx in this kind of version, in this kind of shape, honestly.
I mean, I've always felt it weird. I could never figure out how to pilot this properly. But it's definitely always been pretty powerful. It's going to be a question of whether it can race down, I think, faster than some of these decks. Because either, on this side of Tutal, there's the Fizz deck, which is, at some point they're going to win the game. Same thing with like Karma, and the Gnar deck is just going to stall you out and try to tax you on your, Chrono Breaks as much as possible with the Broadmain and such.
Yeah, this deck, I remember it being very explosive. Once you put down the Voice of the Reason, you have maybe just an Echo in place because it's very difficult to trade it off, and unless, of course, you get some those challenged by the Petrified Broadwings or other challenger units. Echo is very difficult to remove because it's a very high attack stat plus that quick attack keyword coming with him. And once you have Echo on board and Voice of the Reason activated, like that's just the end of the game most of the time, because you can get that Chrono Break. And from there onwards, it's just easy game. You clean up your opponent's board, you attack with your full board being buffed by the voice, and you just deal a ton of damage. But if you can't get to that point, if you are, stopped in your tracks, that's when the situation gets tricky.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Who do you think is going to win out of the set?
I think maybe for the deck matchups, the Tutal may be fine, maybe even advantage, just because I've not seen enough Echo Jinx. I don't know if I trust some of the other, or some of the Aatrox deck yet that much against the lineup the Tutal has brought, but I have to support my boys, especially Smooth and Ace in the Castaways, so I'm rooting for them. Let's go, guys.
Well, I'm with you on the lineup. I mean, we'll try it again with the count the siren songs, and Tutal is 1 and Castaways is 0, so it's that simple. I do think that the Aatrox might be the ban. I think that one's the one that's going to be like a little faster. It's going to be a little more annoying for like the Karma sets and the Gnars to deal with. There's a couple of tough units in there. I think that's going to be the ban.
Yeah, that may very well be the ban. And as we already saw tonight, the underdogs won every single matchup. So is it gonna be the same for game 3?
Who knows? And on the other side, I think it's gonna be a Fizz ban. I think that deck's just too scary. Even if you have like a Naturalist, it's only a 1 of, and there's 3 Rivers Row and Siren Songs in. I just don't want to deal with that if I were them. But it could be that because it's such a prevalent deck, many people have tried to build lineups to at least be, good into them, if not beating them.
Okay, the Castaways have told me that they've cooked a lot. They've cooked maybe a little bit too much with the deck lists. So I think they've, analyzed the situation with potential, lineups being brought by the opposition, and I think they knew that Siren Song was coming in full force, so they might have prepared, at least even psychologically, for that.
I mean, we'll see if that works out for them. Siren Song's a scary deck, but if they think they have the chops to take it on, good for them.
Yeah, we've seen it fail today and win. So it's not been unbeatable. We've seen even a Rise deck defeating the Fizz one. And the predictions here, everyone but me is predicting Tutal. Once again, the underdog is clear, and Tutal stands tall, up like the favorite team.
I mean, I think Tutal's gonna win, but we'll see if you're the one man out in all this. All right.
Let's see. You mentioned a potential Fizz ban from one side and the Aatrox ban for the Tutal versus the Castaways. So let's see if your analysis comes through. Do you think there is any other option? Like, for example, banning the broad main deck instead of the Fizz? I think the Fizz is a very good ban for the reasons we said, you already said, though.
I can see other bans other than Fizz. It's just like, my god, that Siren Song deck. I want to ban it on site. I don't want to have to think about dealing with it and knowing that sometimes they just draw a certain hand and it's a non-game, regardless of how I play it. And that's some of the frustration with the Siren Song deck. It's other decks have had this issue of like, oh, if you draw X card on X turn, then you almost win. But it looks like it's the Karma stat that's going to be banned. So this is what you're kind of saying of them cooking and knowing, oh, because Siren Song is going to be there, we're building something we know we can beat it. All right, don't listen to me. I'm completely off. Okay.
They don't want to see the mirror, probably. Like, if you leave it open, you have to play that Broadwing crazy mirror and wouldn't know how to come out of it, honestly. That looks like a 30 minutes mirror, honestly.
Yeah. And I do think with the Castaways had the Riptide Rex, so they would have had a slight advantage in the mirror.
Exactly. So the Fizz deck is left open. Maybe there could be a strategy, lose against the broad main deck and then beat Fizz twice. That would be ballsy, I would say, to go against Siren Song twice. Or maybe the other way around.
Well, my mind's on the other way around.
Yeah, could may very well be what they're looking for. Honestly, I don't know how Echo Jinx works into Fizz. I have no idea how Echo Jinx works into Siren Song, because I think it has the potential to race it and to win that race potentially if you get your cards right. And you have also some facilitators, all the predicts and stuff that can get you there.
Yeah, see, the thing with the Echo Jinx against Fizz, I feel like even though, Echo's gonna have the corner breaks, Fizz is wide enough to stall the board a bit. There's some Sunburst in there. And of course, the triple Moonlight Affliction in this version can really be disastrous when pushing for lethals. And, I mean, there's a Quicksand to stop Zolani's potentially, but there's no real answer other than don't die to Zolani.
Yeah, and even then, like, they play Zolani, you have to play your Quicksand, not even in combat, you have to pre-commit, because if you don't play it immediately, like, you are against 5 Solanis.
And honestly, pre-committing stuff like that's hilarious, because like there was some game I was playing where opponent pre-committed a freeze, but the enlightened effect on Zolani is a transform. So even if you freeze or quicksand below that threshold, it stays the upgraded one. So it can turn your whole board into a board of like 0/16s because they're all frozen.
Yeah, and then of course you just need to wait your next turn, attack turn, and just win from there onwards, because your opponent is not gonna be able to chew through that board. But let's get on with the first match of this final best of 3 for the day, and it's gonna be Echo Jinx against. Is this the?
That's Jinnar.
Yeah, that's Jinnar, bro.
Or Jinnor, yeah.
Yeah, Jinnor. Jinnar. Everything was correct. And we see Jin in hand, like it's mono Jin in hand for Tutel, so the effects are gonna be activated.
Castaways has the Mystic Shots for any Noras coming down, which is going to be quite nice, and a second Mystic Shot could be nice on the Vistayan to stop any of the counter spells.
Yeah, and this was also very good, turn assignment, because they have Castaways of turn attack on events, so the Tutel can't immediately slam Nora down and attack. So we could develop, so Castaways could develop the 2/3 and go and predict, and not immediately have to burn some mana to deal with Nora.
Mm-hmm. I think Tutel is trying to bait out more mana from Castaways before committing this Nora. Just if Castaways wants to miss a shot, they're basically saying, hey, you're gonna need to tap out. We don't want you to have a good turn and be prepared for it the whole time. Playing the Owlcat, forcing Castaways to protect, and now the Nora comes down. Or even if Castaways doesn't hedge against it and plays the Forsaken Bakai.
I think they're seeing it coming. Nora, of course, gonna come down now, being most likely immediately Mystic Shot, or either now or in combat. Let's see what they decide to do. You can decide to do it in combat, nothing changes at that point.
Yeah, I don't think it matters here. And having the second Mystic Shot is, the Avenging Messiah in hand. This is something. I could write the 0 cost predict. The Avenging Visai in hand for the side of Tutal. That's going to be something they're going to be sitting on for the Chrono Breaks and such. But Castaways already having a second Mystic Shot in hand is going to make it really annoying for that to happen, because they can basically just bait out the ambush flip with the second Mystic Shot.
Yeah, exactly, and then you just kill it, and then you just kill it. Really, really, really nice. Of course, second Mystic Shot being there. You know that the only ambush card they play is the Vastaya, so you don't have to really fear about anything, unless they play the Concologist, I guess, because then you could get some. You could get the spell that creates more ambushes, I think.
Oh, that's the face check into something else?
I think probably. Let's see now what this predict is gonna be. The Clockling is predicting getting us voices. Yes, of course, we are gonna have already leveled up Echo next turn, and then the voices is gonna come down. Jin on the other end is gonna be committed, very big mana committed for 4 mana, not going wide on the board, not gonna play a Concologist to potentially go and look for more spells. Just putting the Jin down.
Technically has a Jin flip in hand. There's the, Pie Toss, second half. There's ways to get 3 procs off Jin for the stun if need be. But the stun's only going the 1/3. So I'm not sure how important this is. I think what's more important as far as their hand goes is ways to do 3 damage to kill an Echo, per se.
Yeah, and you could get another drop, the bomb, just so you can deal a lot of damage with this Echo. Of course, it's gonna be into different actions, so Echo is gonna get a strike.
No, it's...
Oh, no, it's not gonna get a strike. Right. You can do it now because you don't have an attack token, so unless you attack purposely into the Echo, which he's not gonna do, that's gonna be fine. You can just kill him off now. But the voice is activated.
The voice is activated, but I'm not sure, there's a 2-1, or I guess it's only the 3-1 that has a good trade right now.
Yeah, you can play the Bakai now, look for another Echo potentially, you don't really care. The Chrono Breaks are in the deck already, and I wonder if he's gonna go and take this Chrono Break or something else.
I think that was a Chrono Break.
And it makes sense because then we would be able to play the, of course, our Voice of the Reason, full attack, and then play the Chrono Break. Of course, we see that the opponent could play the Avenging Vastaya, but if they don't, that's a board clear plus a full attack on our side.
So Tutal's attacking in. Does this proc Jin? Yes, so this procs Jin in the right order. It's going to deal 2 damage to the 1/3, I believe.
Yeah, of course, also standing it is a stand damage dealt to the face. Not committing a 3rd unit, this means this is gonna be just 4 damage going in. It's perfectly fine from the side of Castaways. You accept them. You don't want your units to die this easily.
Yeah, from Tutal's perspective, I think the idea here is just knowing there's the Chrono Breaks in the deck. Even though Castaways only had 1 predict, those Chrono Breaks are going to be coming through sometime. So as long as you can keep the board as small as possible, it's probably going to be better for you. And, being a Nori deck, all your units are so expendable, you can replace them so easily. Just keeping it thin for this Chrono Break that Castaways predicted into, it's going to make it so much easier to weather those Chrono Break turns when there's 2 or 3 less units being revived.
Yeah, and it was a Chrono Break after all. Of course, now we have options to stop it potentially. We can play the Avenging Vastaya down. We can immediately go and thin the board even more with our pings. We have the second half of Pythos there. This can be used. We have a group shot, which is not activated yet. We don't have the 4th unit, but we're just going to use Drop the Bomb and kill the Clockling, which is the only elusive unit right now on the board.
So Tutal has the option for stun with the Perilous Pastry into group shot. Would activate Jin stun. Do you remember if the Clockling bug is still active? Where it draws a card?
I don't. I hope it's not, honestly. We would have to check the patch notes to see if it was bug fixed. If it wasn't bug fixed in the last patch, then I would say it's still up.
Persistence is key.
Let's see if this Jin is also gonna go on the side of the blockers. I think you want to retain him there because it's so useful, given that he can stun and stuff. Of course,
This here
You
seems
could-
fine though, because
yeah, this is fine.
you don't care about your Jin, you care about not dying to Chrono Break, and this is forking your opponent for which one they want to do. If they Chrono Break, they can't kill Jin this turn, and you get to block again with Jin. And if they Mystic, then they can't Chrono Break, and they lose all those units.
Yeah, exactly. The attack is gonna be confirmed. 4 damage are coming through.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. The Avenging Vastaya is down. Let's see if the Mystic goes on the Avenging Vastaya. I think,
Well, Castaways knows it's there's only the one thing it could be.
yeah. So you might just have to go for that at this point.
That's a shame though. Just like Castaways doesn't have the mana to do everything, so Chrono Break won't resolve this turn. Just passes it down.
Pass it down, bank 3 mana, get a time trick. You have potentially more predict in your deck. Some portals are gonna be put in the deck by the side of Tutel, and this is a kind of scary situation from the side of Castaways because they don't have the wreck on the board. They are gonna
Echo though,
in their tracks. Echo is gonna be tutored now by the time trick. Are they gonna have the time to put it down and play it? There is potentially a kill on this Echo with the Lightning Rush plus the group shot.
I think the Castaways has to wait for Echo until next turn.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You can't be, you can't immediately go for that. Of course, this Mystic Shot is gonna be denied by Avenging Vastaya. You just accept that. You get a 3/3 on the board with Spell Shield, just more stats that are there. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think you might just go for
I mean, look, it has to be
reparations.
again, I believe. I'm not sure if $2 has other ways to kill Echo for 3
Are you
mana.
going for Rite of Negation here?
Just from our backup, yeah.
Yeah, this would be interesting because then we would have a lot of mana as backup, as you mentioned. We would have Rite of Negation plus Echo plus Chrono Break. I think everything is available, no? Yeah, I think everything should be available.
Yeah, you have exact mana for all that.
Back in the game.
So I imagine $2 gonna very likely play out this stuff. Now the thing is, Tutal can wait for the attack, play Lightning Rush on Avenging Vastaya. Oh, but there's Rite of Negation backup. That's very close.
If there wasn't this Rite of Negation, everything would be good for Tutel, but this is a very scary situation. Now Echo can go and strike. You get that free time trick, you get that draw that you needed, and everything starts going down from the side of Tutel right now because you don't have enough spells, you don't have the answers to everything that Castaways is showing to you.
Yeah, exact mana with this Rite of Negation was extremely clutch. That looks... Oh. I believe they're doing Avenging Messiah into Voice of the Risen instead of into Echo. Because you get to deny the
And
Echo.
kill the Voice of Reason, yeah.
That way, because you know it's been a couple turns, there's probably a Chrono Break at this point. You want to limit that as much as possible, and you get to pick up Avenging Messiah. Whereas if you go all in, killing everything, you're going to die to the Chrono Break. Also, that stun is so nice. Because it means that even with the Chrono Break, you're not killing a unit, and then it can't attack when the Chrono Break comes through.
Are we killing our own unit though with the Rite of Negation at this point? Yeah.
I don't... No.
No, okay.
This would have been so good without the Ray of Negation.
Yeah, this would have been insanely good. Now, there is nothing much that we can do, of course. if we are Tutel, we could just wait potentially for the Chrono Break and then kill after the Chrono Break the Voice of the Reason.
Yeah.
That would be something that we would need to do since we have the group shot or the pastry lined up to do just that. But we are gonna have more draws if we are castaways, and the situation isn't getting easier from for Tutel's side. Let's see what the tutoring is
Chrono
gonna
Break.
be. Another Chrono Break. Okay. If we are castaways, we could just pass now. We're gonna have 3 units next turn. Because the ancient preparation landmark is gonna pop and we are gonna have another clockling. Okay, ancient construct. And so I think we might play just for that. We know that our opponent has got some ways to kill our own Voice of the Reason right now. And so we just let it pass.
So this Gnar leveling is a little scary though.
Is it ever range for lethal? I think we're 18 HP. I think we're kind of
18's
cheating. Because we also have the thingy, right? We also have the Scrying Sense, so 2 more damage that are gonna be reduced. So I think this is actually fine for us. How close is Jin to leveling? That's another question, because that's a decimate on attack, basically.
I believe he's triggered twice, which would be 8? 9?
Okay, so we put the drop border down, we wait for Tutel to attack, let's see if he does it. Of course, pulling Echo with an R would secure us that Echo would not strike.
You know, what if Tutal just passes here? Because Castaway has been kind of repping just, even if they haven't played one yet, but like, oh, he's going for it now.
But we played now, we don't fear anything anymore. Like, our voice was under the threat of either pastry of a group shot. Now it's not anymore. So we don't even care, I think.
Well,
we have second one to back up.
yeah.
There's nothing that can hurt us right now. In this end state, we know our opponent has 2 cards. Okay. And he only has 6 mana available.
I think Tutal was, I think Castaway was saying, oh, I've been repping Chrono Break the whole time. Tutal might just pass here because they don't need to attack, and if they attack into Chrono Break, that's really bad for them. And if they pass here, then I lose my voices. So I can see this line. This seems, with a double Chrono Break, I think with 1 Chrono Break, this gets a little dicey from here. With the double Chrono Break, I'm not sure how Tutal can make it back from here.
What is Tutel trying to think? Okay, you just go for a group shot on the Echo. Put Echo low enough so that now you can Tutel thinks, okay, now I'm grabbing the Echo, I'm dealing more damage. And they just don't know, they're just clueless.
But Castaways gets to block here, swing back, and Chrono Break again, and Tutel just has the Junk Construct, which is not gonna be enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Jin levels for the quick attack, but it's not the leveled up ability.
Yeah,
That's a regular deal too, so it's not enough.
Wouldn't have killed him anyway, because we have ways to block, and limit the output damage that Jin would have dealt us. So that wouldn't have been a kill.
I think it's Jinx here. I think there's a good chance Castaway just wins this turn, but otherwise Jinx would definitely close it out.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, oh, but maybe we just win this turn now. I think there is a very big possibility since we killed the Jin now. Of course, the Undying wouldn't be able to block anyway. This doesn't kill the Jin because our drop border just gets stunned.
Oops.
But they know, like, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It would have been stunned anyway, just not to damage the Voice of the Reason. Because, no Voice of the Reason doesn't die unless it's Gnar to attack her, to block her. So I think this is perfectly fine.
This just face up, hey, Tutal, I have another Chrono Break.
Exactly, and now Tutel realizing it, that they know if it's not over this turn, it's probably gonna be over next turn because they get another open attack with all their board being alive thanks to the Chrono Break. They might even Chrono Break a 3rd time because there's still 1 Chrono Break in the deck, and you are gonna get a strike with an Echo, giving you potentially another Chrono Break.
Find the last Chrono Break. That's that simple.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if it's not that simple, you get 3 shots at this basically, because you get this attack, okay, then you get the draw next turn, and then you get another draw, another predicted draw on open.
All right, hear me out. If we predicted Jinx, we skip the Echo draw and just draw the Jinx. So get to open attack into Jinx.
Easy. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is much to say. I don't think there's much else to say, honestly. Everything is traded, of course, but the Echo. And Echo is here giving us more draw, giving us more power. It's just gonna be a little unopened. There's nothing even left.
Let's go!
They don't even care. It's just little unopened. There is nothing they can do to stop them. The Undying isn't doing anything, and the Jinx is gonna finish this game with a rocket. That's how it works. Jinx from Arcane, the rocket, and the surrender from the set of Tutor.
Oh, very well piloted. You know, a little bit of predict luck, but they chose correctly. They definitely piloted that game very cleanly. So we'll have to see if Tutal can reverse sweep. I believe it was.
Now, if it were you, okay. Now, if you were Tutal now, would you still play this deck, or would you switch and play the Siren Song to try and win? Oh, and they're still playing this deck. Okay, they're saying okay.
I feel like broad main into Aatrox has got to be good, right?
Yeah, I mean, you said before that Aatrox might not even care about this, but I still think that Broadwing should be a little bit favored, at least on paper, just because you have so many removals. We already see the Lord in the end of Tutel and some pings, so nice start, I guess, even though maybe a little bit slow. We have the construct to put some portals in our deck, though.
Yeah, Castaways needs to, get a slightly better hand. I mean, Broadman into Spear is a good start, but you need something between that and Aatrox.
Catch is good here. To be fair, Catch is pretty good here with his hand. Of course, we are gonna have to draw a little bit. We don't attack, we're just passing right now.
Yeah, there's just... I think Catch is good later. Saving Catch for a better time. No need to get the pump. It's no need to play that fast with this hand currently. Mm-hmm. We can just sit here juggling spears all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. We I think gonna even accept this end of turn potentially. I don't know if it's worth to play the weapon now and to tap out of potential mana. You could be threatening other spells. And so we go to turn 4 right now. Quite few weapons available to be played on these units.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Tutal's hand, triple Broadmain.
That's a pretty big end.
Once we get to turn 6, it's going to be a little tough.
That looks like a little bit of a brick end from the side of Tutal, not even gonna lie. The construct is good, the Nora is also good, because of course there is at the moment nothing that can contest her. She's gonna eat the nexus of the Castaways on the next attack turn. But right now, this is a very big strike that they are presenting, especially since all of this deck is gonna be buffed basically. I mean, I say all when it's like the first 3 cards, but they get us +2/+2, which is insanely big amount of stats.
Yeah, but you know who doesn't care about +2/+2?
Broadmain.
My man Lord Broadmain and his 2 twins.
Yeah, it depends how many. You have to have a lot of pings. Like we have 3, 4. If we think about 4, because Pythos counts as 2, I think.
I wasn't counting. Yeah, that's almost enough pings, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And also, each Lord Broadmain is a ping on himself, so like, it's. I mean, this is 5/5 Vayne, but like, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine, surely.
It's pretty big Vayne, I'd say. It's pretty big. Let's see if we elect to go and tumble right now, or if we want for this tumble to be a little bit discounted. And we are prepping for, of course, the Lord arrival next turn. And so from set of Castaways, we decide, okay, we want to get full values of this Vayne. It's already being pinged, doesn't even matter anymore. We just go and tumble with her. She's gonna have quick attack. She's gonna draw some other cards. We don't even care at this point.
So from the side of Tutal, how worried are they? Is there a need to Lightning Rush here? Block and Lightning Rush, pop your Nora back, or just maybe simply blocking with Nora just to save a bit of health, because you need some amount of units for the next open attack. But you also would really like to not take 7 right here. Because if you take 7 here,
and then you take 7,
and then you pull this side, you're taking another 9. Yeah, just playing Witness just to need a blocker because of the Broadwing. You need something to put in front of that Vayne.
as you know, 7 is the maximum numbers of everything and anything, so that's definitely something right there. We have
go.
the option to immediately go and open attack and present at least 2 more damage.
See, I'm seeing a number that's even better than 7. It's 6. You know what you can do with 6? You can play your Lord Broadbane. And that looks pretty
Exactly. There is to be said that with Broadbane on play and group shot, we would be able to get rid of both Vayne and the President Broadwing. The problem is there is a 5/7 Queen on the board.
And you know what the rough thing is? If Tutal kills Vayne here, that means that Castaway gets a free turn to equip this harp, probably on Quinn. And that might be game with the Quinn attacks, because that's once again going to be 7 damage coming in, except now it happens twice.
Yeah, it happens twice. Valor is there too, just to grab a unit away, and you will need to expend a lot of mana. Now, there could be, Lord play, which is Lord Broadwayne on, Queen and just kill the Queen, but then again, you would have the Vayne to deal with.
Full of fear.
So it's like the lesser of 2 evils. What does Tutel want to do? This is not an easy decision. If you just put Broadwing down, this is 6 mana you spend, and your opponent has a full board. Of course, you're thinning it down a little bit, but is it gonna be enough?
We are all seeking an end to war.
This is heartbreaking.
I mean, there's 2 catches in Castaway's deck. I can see how this might have been the best decision from Tutal's point of view. Unfortunately, Castaway has this catch. If they put it on the Quinn, oh no!
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it makes sense because you just trade at this point. You just trade on the with the Nora. You will just be able to trade the other 3/3 or even pull the Broadwing at that point. Right now, though, the situation is a little bit tricky because the Broadwing could just ping the Queen after his attack, and Queen is dead.
yeah. So Castaway's gonna get in another 5 damage here. Broadwing's still gonna be healthy though.
Let's see what they decide to do. The Broadwing is gonna be pulled by the Valor.
I imagine this is killing the Quinn here, but
5 damage are gonna come in. The first cards in the deck are gonna be buffed, so the decks from Castaways is becoming beefier by the minute.
I think Tutal has lines to get out of here, but it's gonna be extremely tight with as many times as these Darkened Spears have hit. Like, we're gonna see like a 9/9 off the top here. The next card, I mean.
Would you think we will see a Stiratu down the line?
Ooh. So Tutal has a way to kill Steratu.
Because now we could play the Orazi. Now we could play the Orazi just because it has Spell Shield.
Tutal still technically has a way to get Harazi, but it's like a little sketchy into... Never mind, they're not running single combat.
But then again, you would use everything that you have to get in Orazi, and then we would be able to play Stiratu then, and you just have used everything that you have to kill this.
Oh, for sure.
So,
you just be on Lord Broadmains and prayers at that point. See,
so I think there is a way you just go and play Orazi here just to bait everything from your opponent. This is nice because it removes the damage from your Petrified Broadwing, so it can't be pinged and killed immediately.
yeah, see, Tutal's in a bit of a tough position here because, as far as they know, Castaways has a 1 mana 6/6 that they're hiding in their hand. They don't want to play yet, but they don't. So Tutal keeps passing because they're worried about the things
They will have.
because these spears are scary. Something's been hit. Like, we've only seen Vayne. There's something else that's been hit, I believe, 4 times.
You know what another problem is?
Castaway just doesn't have it.
Yeah, but you know what another problem is? This spell, the awakening spell from the Aatrox is costing less by the minute. So I think after this strike, you actually have the Aatrox level up.
So it's going to depend though.
When Anaka is played down, so we want to everything to be committed on this Anaka. Okay, this is very akin to what I said, you know, about the Orazi being played last turn, where we force everything out of our opponent. The problem is this Anaka doesn't have spell shield.
This is why I like playing. This is why I get mad at Prodigy all the time for not playing all these combat tricks. Imagine having a one of single combat in your deck in this position. Imagine how wild that one of single combat would do, and how amazing it would be.
But this means we can at least try to kill the Broadman, and we know, of course, the Lightning Rush is there. But then again, doesn't have enough mana to play Lord Broadman this turn, so we are stalling one more turn.
No, Tutel's just gonna play another Broadman, right?
Oh, true. Actually, if you lose the first, you just play the second.
Yeah, just killing the two. Oh,
They make us out to be.
I guess damaging the challenger also makes sense. It's now a 1/1 quick attack.
I mean, no, but now we can switch the. No, we can't switch the weapon anymore. Of course, we played Anaka.
I don't think it really matters, but I've been keeping track. We'll have to see how low this Aatrox is. It's going to be, 7, 8 probably at this point.
Probably even lower. I don't know how many stuff we have. How many times we have stroke.
Nor is a good top deck. Just giving more units so you can just keep stalling and stalling and stalling. Now, Castaways has the two Aatroxes now.
You could play the Aatrox that the opponent sees just to give you the spell, to give you. Okay, it's 9.
9.
So not that low yet, but of course, Tutel has to decide when to kill it.
So Tutel has the second Broadmane in case Castaways tries to get cheeky and strike the current Lord Broadmane. Tutel just needs more blockers and more pings. I think like a pie toss or something would be the perfect draw right about now.
Do you think Castaways is gonna go for a tumble now? Just tumble and see
You
what
still have
happens.
a tumble. I forgot. I don't think so.
No,
I
they're
think,
passing.
I think even though you don't know what Tutel has, and if you tumble, you don't have a harp to tumble with. If you tumble like Aatrox, if you tumble the other units, they just get traded off. So from their point of view, if you tumble an Aatrox, it's gonna be blocked and pinged, and it's gonna die.
Then again, next turn, first thing you do, level up Aatrox, or you actually do something else. If you level Aatrox up, okay, Aatrox level up, you're not actually immediately sure that Aatrox is gonna. Oh, now though.
Yeah. Well, you gotta kill the Stratu, because if Aatrox levels and Stratu's still there.
Oh, the other Darkins cost 0, and so you can just play them.
Well, the idea is if you can kill Aatrox next turn, so you have Portapalooza, you have Lightning Rush. If you can kill Aatrox next turn, then they won't cost cheap. But you don't want to have Stratu already on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Stiratu is a game changer. Like, Stiratu just changes everything, because then you have infinite value, you have infinite cards in hand.
I wonder if Castaway also considered playing Stratu overriding Hirazi. Oh, 1 turn too late on the Avenging Messiah.
Oh man, let's see if Castaways go for it immediately. If they wait.
First action?
Oh no!
What?
I mean, no, it's fine. We have the Aatrox spell.
Yeah, and Tutel has Lightning Rush. So the Aatrox spell comes through, and you can Lightning Rush to get it back and replay it and stop the World Under.
Oh, true.
But here's the other issue.
For Anaka. I think we're going for Anaka here, though.
Other issue.
Another Anaka.
Is they're just presenting so much damage, and the Challenger Bird can get it. I think Tutel's still fine here, depending on what Anaka pulls. If Anaka pulls another Darkin, I think it might be a bit of a problem. Just a teensy problem. But otherwise, they might be fine.
I think you might go for Portapalooza just to see what it gives you from the side of Tutel. No, instead they're just letting Anaka attack. They could just take the pass here if you're Castaways, but I think you want to attack once you've deployed
You want to try to
the Anaka
pull
on the board.
because you need to try to kill this Avenging Messiah, force resources, so that way Tutel doesn't have the resources when, you know, Aatrox's champ spell or the World Ender come through.
Yeah, it looks ultimate.
Now the scary thing here is that Tutel might be able to kill Aatrox here. They don't have a way in hand at the moment, but as far as Castaways knows, and who knows what gets off this Portapalooza.
Ooh, and it's a Solani. Of course, it's not the Aspect's Bane. It's just the Shomami,
What do you say?
as we say, the 8/8, the 7/7, which is now an 8/8. That's still a lot of damage presented, which would force a block for one of the broad domains. Now only the last Lord Broadman is gonna be left there, and if that Lord Broadman is ever killed, that's game over.
For sure.
Stay
Large Darkin.
Yeah, you can't deal with them at that point onwards. Like there is no way to deal with them, especially since we see Aatrox spell there. If Aatrox survives and you can play Aatrox spell, like there is no getting away from them.
There's also a form up, so this thing's not even gonna work. This might be game soon. I'm not sure. Maybe Tutel can steal Castaway's Riptide Rex and find a way somewhere.
Yeah, let's see. The rush is gonna come out to kill the Aatrox and put the Avenging Bastai in play once again, potentially.
I mean,
Let's see
Castaway
if-
still has to be careful though. They know there's a counter spell in hand, so probably the Aatrox Deathbringer Strike was going to work. But yeah, this form up is just going to seal the deal. Is going to have to fish off of Portapalooza. One draw to kill an Aatrox here.
Yeah, you just need the ping, which, to be fair, this deck is full of pings. But even if you kill one Aatrox, there is still another one that you have to deal with later. Probably you could still get a ping from Concologist. Let's see what Concologist gives us, and it's no ping that we can play. Nothing to be played this turn, and nothing that can kill the Aatrox anyway. So he just gets the quicken to probably potentially replay.
Tutel still has the counter spell. Because Tutel's going to have first action, play Avenging Messiah. Castaways can't. Well, I think Castaway might be able. Oh, this is tricky. All right, so
Yeah,
here's
at this
the line.
point, even if you counterspell, like your opponent can just play another Aatrox and has another spell.
So here's the line right now. Tutel plays Avenging Messiah. Castaways tries his Deathbringer Swipe to bait it out. Tutel bounces with Quicken, replays. Castaways fish fights. Tutel bounces again with Lightning Rush.
No, I don't see it. They don't have the mana. Like, no one has the mana. I mean,
They
they
have the mana
do
for
over
that.
multiple turns. Yeah, over multiple turns and everything. Yeah, they do have the mana to replay
No,
and replay it once.
I think they have the mana to do all this right now.
Let's see. Fish fight is gonna come
Fish fight,
down.
bounce. Deathbringer Strike, bounce. I think Tutel's out of mana, and Castaway gets the World Ender. That's my prediction.
Oh yeah, Castaways should have the mana edge. Let's see though if your prediction comes through. The first bounce is here. The damage is gonna go on the Darkin, which is gonna die. We see the World Ender.
No, I think the Deathbringer Strike, the Brush. Or not. Either way.
They just let Kanaka die. It's fine.
Because now Tutel has to replay it, and now you Deathbringer Strike.
Yeah, with that Ring Strike, and then we would have the mana to World Ender. So even if Tuto recall it with Quicken, we would have the mana to play our level up spell for Aatrox. Aatrox would level up, and after that we have all the mana we have everything to play with. We're gonna be playing a children's game basically.
You know what? Or yeah. So there goes Aatrox 2, but this is a green light to World Ender, and you know what, Zero? I think that's game.
Let's see if it's gonna be game indeed. Only 3 HPs are left on the Nexus of Tuto, and Aatrox level up is probably one of the strongest level ups on the game to have Dark Incident to be played, and we have the Stiratu and another Sholani.
And we even could have equipped the Zolani on the Fleet Feather Tracker first instead of killing here, but
It's fine, we have an Orazi
don't need it.
too.
There's no
We have an
need.
Orazi too on board. It's fine.
I have waited for long enough.
We can kill the. Oh, we actually don't play anything right now. We go next turn, and the Nora can't even level up because of course we can't even have level up on the Nora.
No,
And
Nora's
this
leveling
should
up for
be-
next game.
Yeah, Nora is leveling up for next game, and this should be game over in Castaways, following the trend that's been with us all night. The underdogs take the win, and me, the only one predicting them to win. It's
Congratulations.
more.
All right, no, we're tied. We each have 1 win and 2
true.
losses.
True, actually. 1 win, 2 losses. I mean, at least I got this one.
Yeah, there you go. I got
Thanks
the
to the
one with my
boys.
group. You got the one with your group.
Exactly. Makes perfect sense. Everything is balanced. You know, Thanos is happy.
So it turns out, I guess Fizz Siren Song's just bad, right?
Yeah, I guess they didn't want to play it. I mean, even if they play it and win, then this game still happens. Of
Exactly.
course. We don't know what would have happened then, but it would have been an interesting thing. As I asked you, like, what would you have done? Like, once you lose the first game, would you switch and play the Fizz because you have an advantage, so you go 1-1 and maybe you regain like some mental, strength, or what?
So I mean, like, it kind of, because it doesn't really matter in terms of winning the whole set, because like your set percentage win rate doesn't matter because you have to reverse sweep
Exactly.
anyway.
It's all
But-
mental, basically. Like,
For the end of season tiebreakers, and I'm not sure how much these matter, but if those matter enough, then you want to be getting those game wins just for the tiebreaker. So you'd want to queue up the Fizz deck if you think that has a better win rate, and then, which, who knows, it might not be great against the Aatrox, but you want to, second game, you want to win, try to win with whatever deck you think is better, just to get the game win, even if you lose set 3. But of course, as you said, like the mental aspects can be a little tough to like, no, oh, I'm saving my loss for the very end, or I'm going to be losing from a 1-1.
yeah, exactly. I think that was all for tonight, but what incredible Legends of Runeterra we have seen.
Yeah, these were some really exciting and fairly close games all across the board. Especially that Rise game. Man, that Rise game was... mwah.
I mean, we've seen everything of the Rise game. I mean,
Yeah.
perfect play from Matimayo.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to call it. Thank you for joining us on the first week of Aegis Heart of the Huntress. And we'll hope you join us for next week.
Yeah, see you next week.